Welcome back. Oh, welcome back to Tech Ops. I'm Greg. I'm here with Eric,
Howdy, howdy.
and we have Greg Krsak back on.
Hell yeah.
Hey, this is Greg Krsak back.
Thanks for joining us.
Hell yeah. So,
Up to the top here.
What do you guys want to talk about today?
Just anything and everything.
yeah, first off, we're trying to fucking get our shit together. But we're going to do the Commando Store. No, I guess we're going to wait on the Commando Store.
We'll wait on the Commando Store.
So
'cause
we didn't do
everyone
the
stops
Commando
watching.
Store last time because we were going to wait until everybody kind of got in so we could talk to you guys about the Commando Store after everybody got in. But we forgot.
Yeah.
So we're going to come back to that later, just so.
Real
we're all
quick,
clear.
in case people are listening to this who have not heard the first one, you want to kind of introduce yourself and go through your background a little bit, Greg?
Sure. Hi, my name is Greg Krsak. I was a missile technician, second class, qualified submarines. I was assigned to the USS Kentucky Gold Crew, that's SSPN 737. I did 8 strategic deployment patrols, specializing in nuclear weapons targeting. And I did one final temporary duty aboard USS Alaska Blue, that's SSPN 732. And my total time of service was from December of 1998 to December of 2004. So 9 strategic deployment patrols aboard Trident submarines total. And yeah, it was a lot of fun.
So can you tell me a little bit about missile techs? That's a real special rating when it comes to submariners because they only serve on ballistic missile submarines. Can you kind of emphasize a little bit more on that?
Sure. So when I say missile technician, that's is a pretty small job within the United States Navy. Let's say if there's 350,000 sailors in the Navy, there's maybe 900 missile techs or something like that. And what we do is ballistic missiles, the Trident II D5 ballistic missile, and we specialize in monitoring and maintaining and launching those missiles from submarines. And there's other things missile techs can do. If you do a second reenlistment, you can go to shore and maintain the ballistic missiles in their magazines and stuff like that too.
And so you only
Or
take care of the
weapons.
ballistic missiles, not the Tomahawks, not the cruise missiles.
That's right. I have seen a TLM-N, but my understanding is those are all retired or in inactive reserve stockpile. or
Yeah,
whatever
that's
they're
what I've
doing
heard
these
too.
days.
Right,
Like
and
in the
they've been talking
mid-90s.
about maybe bringing them back. If that was the case, would you guys be the ones that are in charge of them?
Not that I'm aware of. I mean, I could be wrong. I got out in '04, so you know, who knows what changes over that amount of time. But missile technicians. So I don't know. The missile technicians, I guess, do serve on the SSGNs now, the attack weapon system versus the strategic weapon system, which is what I was on, the strategic weapon system. So it's possible, but I don't know the answer. Primarily and historically, especially missile technicians in modern times were ballistic missiles. But if you go way back to the guided missilemen days, which is I think what they used to be called, they did work on liquid fueled cruise missiles that were wheeled out of a barn door hump on a submarine and launched and hopefully fly.
I
It's
didn't know about the missile tech serving on SSGNs. What are they doing?
My understanding is they're manning the attack weapon system, a non-nuclear cruise missile system that takes the old it's some Trident submarine hulls that have their nuclear missile tubes removed and like a 7-shot Tomahawk cruise missile launcher installed, I believe,
Mm-hmm.
so they can perform conventional strikes, conventional cruise missile strikes against adversaries using that, and also. One or two of the tubes are converted to deploy SEALs, like lockout special operations forces.
Oh yeah.
Right.
It's gonna be weird having. I can't imagine having a liquid fuel. Isn't that dangerous? Having a liquid fuel missile on board. I know the Russians. I mean, they did some of that stuff. Were the early U.S. ICBMs, well, at least the missiles launched from submarines, liquid fueled?
I believe submarine missiles for the United States have always been solid fuel. I think that was a policy decision made by the U.S., but other countries have done liquid fuel. For example, Russia.
Doesn't that sound
I don't think-
dangerous? Or do you
I
really
don't
know
think
anything about
liquid
that?
fuel is a good idea.
Yeah.
For a submarine, personal and professional opinion, yeah, solid fuel is the way to go for a submarine.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, just the coolant system you have to run through. I mean, you've seen how SpaceX is trying to launch missiles. That's all liquid cooled stuff. So you have to pump nitrogen in to keep the fuel cool and all that stuff. Just it's just so dynamic. Just not worth it. Where you can just light the candle and just hope it goes.
Exactly. Yeah, the volatility of those chemicals. I don't think it's something you want to mess with in an enclosed space.
Right.
Yeah, but then some of the drawbacks of solid fuel too is you can't really shut it off. Right. So does that make
Yeah,
it more
it's,
difficult to actually plan out a trajectory that where you're going to have this missile hit?
it is an engineering challenge to design and deploy a throttleable solid fuel rocket motor for sure. The way the Trident missile does it is it has a serpentine maneuver it performs that's calculated to burn off the exact amount of fuel it doesn't need, if that makes sense. So
Yeah.
during the second stage flight, it'll whirl around a little bit, moving, undulating itself, if you will.
It's
And
not going to do corkscrews though, like that one that failed.
Yeah.
That
doesn't
wasn't
do
just a
corkscrews.
serpentine to burn off excess fuel, right?
Yeah. So they call it I think it's like generalized energy management subsystem or system or something like that. And it just kind of does an S maneuver and burns up the amount of fuel it calculates it doesn't need.
Huh. There's a video game called Kerbal Space Program. You ever play that, Eric?
No, I played it a little bit. I'm not very
It's
good
a hard
at it,
game.
though. Yeah.
It is, but yeah, it's hard. It's got a very steep learning curve, but once you get into it, it's a lot of fun. And if I have a solid fuel rocket on it, you can't shut it off. You can't do anything. I'll just start spinning in circles. So it all negates, it eventually negates the translation, I guess, you're making. So Eric and I were talking about, when we were thinking about this Poseidon, right?
Mm-hmm.
Russia's Status 6, the new doomsday torpedo, nuclear-powered torpedo armed with a nuclear warhead. We were trying to brainstorm different ways that it might be able to be defeated. And one of the things that Eric was talking about is maybe launching a Trident at it
Right.
and having it. First, do you think you can actually get a warhead to penetrate down into the ocean, maybe a few hundred feet, before detonating? And also, if you could talk about this, that is, what's like the minimum range you could fire that thing? Because it seems like you can't, unless you're gonna launch it straight up and come straight back down. It seems like there's got to be a minimum range on that.
I'm going to smack your hand for asking me what the minimum range is. There is a minimum range.
I need the exact number in kilometers per. Yeah, so I don't have to convert it from my Russian handlers.
There is a minimum range, and the number would surprise most of the listeners because it's not a small number.
500 nautical miles. That's my guess.
It's a large number, so number one, that would work. I think if you launched a Trident at a Status 6 Poseidon or whatever the name is, then it would kill it. You can't get warheads to penetrate that far into the earth or water, but I don't think that would matter, especially if you hit it with W-88s. I don't even think that would be necessary. But
Yeah, just the shockwave alone would probably, the concussion through the water would take the weapon
shockwaves
out.
are even more significant underwater than they are through the air.
Interesting.
I'm pretty sure you'd mess it up. Yeah, you could do that. You might waste a lot of warheads doing that because if you can tell a Trident missile to use one of its warheads and it'll just not deploy the other ones, but they'll just burn up in the atmosphere and you'll waste them. Or you can have it send all of them to the same target. And just nuke the same thing 8 times.
Right, just spread it out and give you a bigger footprint. I mean,
Yeah,
that
you
was
can
always
spread it
the
out.
idea.
Shotgun approach.
Like we don't know where it is. We just know, there's a hydrophone that's picked it up in this square. We know it's in this square. Can we just nuke the whole square? Hopefully
You
there's
could,
not like
yeah.
a fishing vessel out there or something. Just
If it was within the Trident footprint limits, you could do that. Or you could do a single target and just send them all to the same spot. Or you could activate this special mode where you can only assign some of the warheads to deploy and the other ones burn up with the bus as it re-enters.
That's
Right.
interesting. No, why do they burn up with the bus? Can it come in at a different angle or something where it's not going to be able to withstand that?
Yeah, if you look at some of the every once in a while you'll see a warhead re-entry photo. I know you guys are into those.
Oh yes,
See a little
it's our
a fatter swoosh in the background that kind of goes into nowhere. And that's the bus burning up as it
Right.
follows the last warhead in.
Huh.
And so you would do that just because you already had this missile. It was the only really option you had. You don't want to use them all. Just let them burn up. We just want
Yeah,
one.
if you specifically did not want to, you wanted to attack one target, but you didn't want to cause 8 detonations, for example. And I'm just using the number 8 as an example.
Right. Could you have them all hit one area, or would the shockwave of the thing going off mess up the other ones coming in behind it?
Intra booster fratricide is a concern, and there are some some data points you can understand, or the planners understand, to avoid that. But
Interesting.
yeah, you can have them scatter into a small area, as long as you take certain precautions.
All right. So I know we're getting all technical into nukes, but you are here to tell us some sea stories, right?
Absolutely.
One of the things that, if you guys haven't noticed on our YouTube channel, we put up an actual sea story playlist. And so now what we're doing is we're cutting out clips for you guys, so you don't have to listen to the entire podcast. We're just going to cut out the good stuff for you guys and then put it in different playlists. And I have a specific one for sea stories. And I came up with the idea because of Greg's last show with us, talking about drawing dicks on nukes.
That's what you're gonna have to cut out and make that. That'll be its own video on YouTube, just so you know.
And it's already on there. I've already got it on
It's
there.
already
Oh, you do?
Yeah, it's already on there. And
shared it on
so
my
yeah,
Twitter
check out
channel.
our playlist, Sea Stories. You can go through. I have 2 episodes of Greg on there. One of them has the dick story on it. So check that out. But yeah, that's what we kind of want to talk about and promote to you guys on this show, is that we're doing that now. We're making clips for you guys. We're making it a little bit easier for everybody to listen to our show. And we're going to talk about sea stories. And you said specifically you had a whole lot of good ones. And so I just want to kind of open the floor to you. Once we talk
I think I
about,
have a lot of good ones.
I want to talk about Commando Store real quick. Though.
Yeah, before we get into that, though,
Yeah, we got to talk
can't forget about that. Commando Store. It's an
Yeah.
online military surplus
With a
store. They
K.
got a whole Commando with a K. Yep, store.com. And they got the waxy boot back.
The waxy
After
boots are back.
months of COVID sanctions and government mandated power outages.
They're actually coming from South Africa.
Yeah,
I can't believe it.
they finished production.
The
in South
cognac
Africa.
brown ones look good.
Yeah, they actually look really nice.
Didn't you buy
to
a
be
pair?
honest.
I got a different boot, but now I'm thinking about getting a waxy boot.
Ooh,
I mean,
well,
they're a little up there on the price, but worth it. And then so Commando Store also bought the Waifu Squad company.
do you know what they are?
I don't know a whole lot about it, but I know they make like crazy logos and labels and stuff like that.
Is that what these are?
And so yeah, you can see some of the
You got
stuff.
the
that
anime
they,
stuff?
Yeah, they have a
National
lot of the anime
Rifles
logos and stuff they
Association.
sell. Yeah, they got some crazy stuff. I remember the old
The Viper alarm system.
The old Viper alarm system.
Yeah.
Remember they get too close? The Viper alarm system is armed, or whatever stupid shit it would say. And
I
then
don't
yeah,
get half
dropping
these
bombs
references.
on presidents with stuff.
Putting warheads on foreheads.
Yeah.
And gas masks. And this was pretty cool too, right? If you have a little bit of extra money to spend, and maybe more than a little bit, $12,000. You get the quad tube night vision device.
Yeah.
Gen 3 Plus. 12 grand. But that looks pretty cool though.
Yeah, it even comes with different. They have the green phosphorus and the white phosphorus.
Oh yeah. You
Yeah.
13,000, 15,000.
Yeah, a couple more grand if you want to get that luxury option.
Anyway, they always have a bunch of cool stuff on here. Go over and check them out. Commando Store. Commando is spelled with a K. And you get 5% off your first order. Coupon code TACOPS. All lowercase, no space in between that. You'll get 5% off. A little something, right? I ordered something. I have gloves here.
You got your bear claw gloves.
Yep,
right?
and I
PPE.
saved. Yeah, and I saved 5%. So go check them out. All right. Anyway, back to the sea stories. Now we get
Bear
to the
claw
fun
gloves, are
stuff.
those for eating donuts? What is that?
You can use them for that.
Yeah.
They have no restrictions.
Let's
There's
just
no
say these
rules
gloves have
with
no
them.
restrictions.
Yeah.
No rules for these gloves.
Do whatever you want with bear claws.
Yeah, bear claw gloves. Anyway, so we wanted to open the stage to you. You talk maybe a few sea stories that you got on your list over there.
Thanks. Do I get some social foreplay first?
Yeah, give them some foreplay.
I mean, I'll take it. I was also messing with you.
I don't know how to foreplay you.
I do have Jello shots and some Viagra ready if things get too crazy.
There we go. That's what I'm talking about.
You guys sell that at the Scrappy Punk Brewery?
They sell Viagra.
Only if you
Yeah.
know the right password.
Okay.
Oh, there you go. Imperial Stout. That's where the stout comes from, right?
And I don't know if we didn't mention that yet. You run a brewery
Right.
or a bar.
I do, yeah. If you're listening to this podcast while Scrappy Punk is still open, I own Scrappy Punk Brewing, and I'm the head brewer there. I also brew there with my business partner, Elise. And if we're not open, if we've lived the dream long enough and we've sold to someone else, check out whatever else is at 9029 Alpha in Snohomish and on 112th Street, and go buy some alcohol from them.
Hell yeah.
Are you guys having a hard time? Did you have any issues? Did they force you to shut down? Are you still shut down now?
No, there was a period where the governor of Washington, Jay Inslee, may his name be praised, required us to do growler fills to go only. So people had to come in, get a growler fill, and bail. It was kind
Right.
of awkward, but we made it work. Our customers helped us make it work, I should say.
Right,
That's cool.
definitely.
Because I know I've read the local news here a few times, and they had to shut down a few bars here in Texas, Dallas, Texas, because they were violating. They had too many people in the bar at one time, and a bunch of them got shut down for
Oh
an
yeah,
indefinite
that
period.
that was definitely happening around that time. I
Yeah.
won't say who was doing it, but nobody really said anything. Snohomish County over here was not the line leader for people following the rules.
Right. I'll kind of roll you into a good sea story. So, I'm in Guam. Guam has one of the two horse and cow bars. Right. You walk into the horse and cow bar. Horse and cow is a very legendary submarine bar. I think they talked about it in Hunt for October. It was one of the movies. I can't remember. They talked about it, and you kind of get the culture of it. But it's been like the submarine bar. There was one open in San Diego for a long time, and I guess they had to close it probably because it was just too expensive to run. But there's one up in your area where you're at in Washington, and then there's one in
Bremerton, I
Guam.
think, yeah.
So the one in Guam, we walk in, and there's pictures of old submarine history everywhere. I mean, it's all over the place. And one of the pictures is a picture of, I don't know what submarine it does. It's not. There was no like logo or anything describing what it was, but it was a picture of the officers in their in the where they were eating at the time, and one of the cooks is in blackface. He's full blackface,
Oh, no.
right? And one of the guys on my boat, one of the black guys is like, "Hey, man, like this is not fucking. We can't have this shit. Like this is fucking not gonna happen. Like I'm gonna go in there and I'm gonna give him my opinion on this shit." And he was actually my chief, one of the best leaders that I've ever had for a long time, and walks up to him and is like, "You got to take that shit off the wall." And they're like, "This is history, like this is something that happened, you know." And then they were about to get into a fight. Like they were they were getting super heated about this shit, and they kind of worked it out. And I guess they ended up leaving it on the wall for a little bit, but they ended up taking it down because everybody started, saying, "Hey, you got to take this shit off the wall." But I remember my chief walking into the Horse and Cow and almost fighting one of the bartenders over a picture on the wall, which was maybe he should have. I don't know, but it was just a really crazy story. And at the end of that night, I got so drunk, I puked in a trash can and I wiped my face with a trash bag.
With the trash bag.
With the trash bag and the trash. It was a dumpster, actually, by the way, in the back. Yeah.
Those burgers look pretty good. They have
Man,
good food there,
They're so good. Yeah.
especially if you've been drinking a little bit.
Got to get the nuke waste.
Ooh.
I've heard
this
about
is-
that drink.
Yeah, they actually sell it. You can buy it online now.
That's it there.
No, I don't think so. It's probably a Red Bull and vodka, I'm sure. I think that's all we were drinking at the time. We were surviving on ice cubes and Red Bull and vodka. Yeah, they have the mechanical bull there too.
So they have two of these then, right? You're saying?
Yeah.
It's a chain.
Yeah, one in Washington where he's at, where Greg's at, and then one in Guam. The one in Guam is just really famous because there's nobody that goes there besides the Submariners.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Is it kind of similar to in Washington?
Yeah, same deal.
More
Yeah.
Submariners.
Yeah.
And you were mentioning too, there used to be
Yeah,
one in San Diego.
You can see all the pictures and all the plaques and shit on the wall. Yeah, they got a lot of good stuff on there.
The cider is delicious.
But
All right, speaking of delicious, I got a story.
okay, let's do it.
So, Bangor, Washington, submarine base. You're in port. You have a car. You gotta come to the boat every day, let's say, to work, and you gotta park somewhere. You guys know this, but I'm explaining it for everyone else.
Mhm.
Gotta park in a parking lot and walk some long ass way through a forest to get to the pier. And so, I had a car that was kind of old, and I was worried about it breaking down. I had some, cooling system leaks, and I had water leaks, all sorts of leaks. Anyway, I'm carpooling with my buddy Steve, and I go to park to get to the boat, and I get on my car, and it's going to be a long walk to the boat, right? So I figure I might as well take a piss before I walk down there. No one's looking. Get out of my car, take a leak, and proceed to walk, towards the staircase down the hill to the boat. And I realize that my car's leaking water. And I look down, I'm like, damn, my car's leaking again. And I reach down to touch it and bring it to my lips and make sure it's water, not coolant or something. And right then I realize it's piss that had been dripping down the hill because I just took a leak. I stuck my fingers in my mouth and looked at my buddy Steve, and he looks at me and grins, and I'm like, yeah, never tell anybody that. He was like, ha ha.
Here you are. If you're ever going to have a story about licking your own pee, this is when you do it. This is when you tell it, right?
Yeah. Greg Krsak, United States Navy, checking in.
There you go. We had we pulled into Okinawa on our Westpac in 2007. And when you go out into town, they make you take your buddies with you, right? And we had
Right.
my chief forced me to take one of the nubs with us in our division. And
What
I
does a
didn't
nub mean?
Yeah,
Eric?
so a non-useful body, right? So the guys who haven't qualified
You don't have your dolphins, yeah.
and got their dolphins, right? So, and I didn't like the guy anyways. He's a piece of shit. And I'm like, whatever, man. I don't care. Just I want to get the fuck out of here. And so we go into town. We actually have a pretty good time, and we take him out. He's cool. He's nice. He has a good time with us. We bring him back down to the boat. He's drunk as shit. We carry him down into the hatch, right? He's one of the guys you got to pass through the hatch. And
Oh, yeah, we had one of those.
What does that mean?
so he's so drunk he can't crawl into the boat.
Oh.
He can't crawl down the ladder, so we have to like pass him down the ladder, right? And so when it comes to going into town, when you're with your sea buddies, as long as you get them back, you're clear of whatever they do, right? So we got him back in the boat. We put him in his rack, and he went to sleep. I get woken up 3 hours later, and they're like, you need to get your fucking ass topside right now. I don't want to say his name. He just fucking shit on the pier and threw up on himself, and the damn commanding officer of the base found him on some random tour he decided to take at 4 in the fucking morning. So get your ass up there. And I'm like, oh my God. So I go topside, and it's not only the commanding officer of the base, but the head enlisted guy, whoever the fucking, commanding master chief was of the base. He's also there. They decided to take this random tour and found him passed out against like an electrical box. He puked on himself and shit on himself on the pier. And they're looking at me like, what did you guys do? I'm like, we went to the bar. We got drunk. We passed him down the hatch. Like, this isn't anything new. Like,
It's a standard procedure.
yeah, I don't know why he's up here on the pier. Like, we had him in his rack. And they're like, well, you guys are in trouble. You guys are responsible for all this. You shouldn't have got him that drunk. And I'm like, you should talk to the topside watch. Like, why did the topside watch let this guy drunk as shit walk on the pier? And so they're like, well, the topside watch is on watch. It's not his job. You should take care of your guys, not let them get that bad. So when we pulled into Yokosuka, the only time we got to pull into Yokosuka, we were restricted, me and my other buddy, to the boat because we got him drunk that he shit on the pier. Like, never, no nubs ever again. Never. Nope. Never again.
But you got that story out of it, though. That's worth some value.
Yeah, it is.
It might not be worth a value on YouTube, though. I don't know if we're going to be able to stay monetized with that. But
So probably not, but that's the sea story part, right? It's not a...
Some
not
old
a,
ladies, like, censoring you, like, listening to this, and she's like, click, nope, demonetize.
I mean, I hate to say it, but a lot of the submarine stories generally involve poop. When people blowing sands and board and... people get drunk. I mean, it's a crazy lifestyle, right? Like, you can't expect people to live a life like that and not do some crazy shit. Now,
It's true. I agree.
One of the things I did want to ask you about, your life was a little bit different than mine because being on a fast attack, we pulled in a lot. We did, long deployments where you guys didn't really do all that. So, like, your sea stories are a little bit different than mine where you weren't like across the world. You're just kind of like in port doing the same shit over and over.
Yeah, exactly. We're in port or on the boat, being ridiculously bored. So yeah, it'll be interesting to note the variety.
Right. And so you guys had different you had different crews, right? So you guys had enough time to actually fuck around and hang yourselves.
A blue and gold crew. Yeah,
the
each boat has
boat's
a blue
out,
and
right?
gold crew.
Right.
Yeah. Yeah. So we had a drunk guy that got drunk in Hawaii. So in 9 deployment patrols, I got 3 port calls, which most people hear and they're like, "What?" But if you've been on a Triton, that just, I guess, sounds normal. Or at least it did back in my day. But yeah, we had a guy get drunk in Pearl Harbor, and we had to lower him down the hatch, and he puked on himself and put him in, like, this temporary rack in missile compartment second level, and then he puked on himself again. I don't think anyone got in trouble because back in early 2003, I think it was like if you got him home and he's relatively safe, then it's like whatever happened.
Yeah, it's great
If it
because
didn't get too messed up.
yeah, I mean, once you're on the boat, it's really nice. It's all air conditioned, and you got your own nice little spot, and you got all the water and everything you want. And
Sure, unless they're doing maintenance on the air conditioning system and or the potable water system. It's hot as hell.
Yeah, then you're
And
fucked,
the
right?
83-degree waters of Kings Bay, Georgia, with no AC. It's ridiculous. And the sun beating down on you. Can't even sleep. It's so hot.
Yeah, we didn't do a whole lot of
We've seen
deployments
that.
down there.
What was that?
We didn't do a whole lot of deployments down there in Kings Bay.
Yeah,
We
crazy.
popped into Port Lauderdale, but that was it.
There's a temperature. It's in the upper 80s for the missile tubes. If you get to this temperature and rising, you have to call away a missile emergency. There's a fire in tube, whatever. And we had some tubes when we had the AC shut off and the sun was beating down and the water was warm. We had some tubes get up to like basically that temperature just didn't rise above it, and we were all standing around looking at this tube temperature, thinking, "Are we going to actually call away a missile emergency?" Even though, like, we know there's not a fire.
Right.
It's just too freaking hot outside, and there's no AC.
Right. The poor below decks doesn't know what to do if he's got a red circle or not. He's like, "Oh my god, what do I do?" Yeah.
So that was crazy.
Oh man, yeah.
But I got a story about a guy peeing himself topside.
There you go.
So,
Classic.
so this guy was new. I think he had just got his fish. He ended up leaving. He ended up freaking out and leaving, and getting kicked off the boat by request. But we're in. I think we were in Kings Bay, Georgia, before we moved over to Bangor. Before we took the Blue Crew took Kentucky around. But we're in the explosive handling war for EHW in Kings Bay. And this guy's standing nuclear weapons security guard topside during a missile or a warhead move, where it's really serious. You can't just like go take a leak and take a break. You're standing there with your gun, and it's you're guarding nuclear weapons. So if you have to pee, like you have to ask for someone to come relieve you and do a weapon turnover and stuff, and it's really formal. So this guy's politely asking for relief. He's radioing down and asking for someone to come up and help him out because he's got to take a leak. But at the time, we got people doing other maintenance tasks, and we're trying to pass word around to people we can find on the boats. Like, hey, this dude needs to take a head call. Someone go help him out. and we eventually do. And so they're like, hey, Krsak, hey, so and so needs a head call topside, quick, like get up there right now. So I'm like, I got it. Climbing up the ladder. He ends up being standing right by the ladder, and I get up there as my head's like breaking the plane of the submarine. I look up at him, and he looks down. And he goes, "Oh, hey, Krsak. Yeah, don't worry about it. I'm fine." He's got piss running down all of his coveralls. He just pissed himself right in front of everybody. I felt so bad.
God, I can't.
So-
I have like 4 of those stories at least.
One of those. I have 4 of them.
Yeah.
So this happened to this guy again. But instead of pissing himself, he just whipped out his dick in the EHW and pissed over the side of the boat right in front of everybody.
That's the best way to do it. You just gotta own it, right? No.
He was a black dude too, and rumor had it he was fairly well endowed, so I don't think he minded too much.
Yeah, there you go. You just gotta whip it out. You just need the excuse, right?
Flash that gold Magnum wrapper while you're doing it.
Yeah, we had a lot of problems when we were in the shipyard because they empty the tanks out, and you're not allowed to use the tanks anymore, so there's no more shitting on the boat or anything. And we had a lot of below decks guys that just drink way too damn much and just got crazy intestinal problems, and they just can't make it. It happened. It happened multiple times. That and the nukes too, because when the nukes are back aft standing watch, you can't just like walk away from the reactor, right? So
Right,
there are
yeah.
like a lot of stories of the nukes pooping in trash cans and whatever they can back there, because what else are you going to do? You got to do what you got to do.
We had this old salty second do that in the trash bag in missile control one time. Just wiped with Kim wipes.
Yeah, see
reinforced shop wipes.
the army and all these guys, they get to like walk away with no shame because they just shit in the woods and nobody ever hears about it. But we ain't got no
Right.
woods. We don't have a bush. All we have is plastic trash cans.
Bright fluorescent lighting and your buddy right next to you.
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah,
God
so
forbid.
embarrassing.
Oh God, luckily that did not happen to me. Phew, Jesus, I got lucky.
Did you see a lot of ball sacks when you're underway?
Yeah, so and I think you were the same age. Waiting had just came out, so the movie with Ryan Reynolds, and so there's that part where they're running around the boat, showing their balls off in different ways, like the bat wing and stuff like that. That happened.
Oh, yeah, the bat wing,
multiple
yep.
times. Yeah, like you would just walk around a corner and there'd be a guy with his nuts out, just
Yep.
trying to catch you off guard. That was a thing for probably 6 months. Oh yeah, I saw maybe 6 or 7 nut sacks at that point.
At that point, how many did you see afterwards?
It was a lot less random at that point because it kind of burned out. But
So I was in slightly before Waiting came out, but I was definitely making patrols while that culture was active, even though the movie hadn't come out yet. we gosh, we this guy, his name is Murray. Yeah. So my last name is spelled Krsak. It's kind of confusing. It's spelled Krsak. So Murray walks around. Yeah, he and knowing Murray, he won't mind if I mention his name. So he's just a slack ass dude that doesn't care. But he was a pretty good missile tech. We're standing there in missile control, at the nuclear launch console, which, a normal human being would think is extremely serious, and it is. But stuff like this happens. The doors open. 2 guys, ready to launch nukes are sitting there, and this guy comes around the corner from the hallway into missile control, holding his ball sack, and there's a K and an R sharpied on it. And he's like, "Hey guys, who am I? Who am I?" He's Krsak.
So these are the people making sure we're safe from Russia.
Yes, yeah. This is your strategic deterrent.
Strategic deterrent.
I
Yes.
can't believe the Navy
your
ever
tax
talks
dollars
to
go.
me. I can't believe it. I don't know why.
Well, now they're not. After this is going to air, and we're going to break it up into 10 different clips. but
Oh my God, I can't believe it. Oh, geez.
I don't know. I feel safer already.
I mean, it's a bunch of guys. Well, I mean, it's changed a little bit now, but back then it's just a bunch of dudes, and they're fucking.
Yeah.
It's a frat house,
It kind of was, yeah. It was just a bunch of dudes, and like I was, I think this person's still in, so I won't mention their name. But me and this other guy, we were the same rank at the time. We got into a wrestling match in missile control, and he, with missiles loaded and everything, and like I was on top for a while, and he was on top, and he eventually choked me out, and I tapped. But it was a good battle, and it was fun. But it was like in the nuclear launch center, so. but we were so bored, we didn't think about that,
right?
Because it was just we needed something to do. That was our home.
It's just so.
Even though it's really a really serious place.
I got a video here playing of a Russian SSBN.
Yeah.
Think the same stuff is going on over there?
Oh, probably. Yeah.
All these guys here
I bet they have a little bit more fun than
showing
we do.
off each other's nut sacks and everything.
I'm not watching. I'm missing
That
out.
guy is probably right.
The U.S. really bought into the whole like we are Marines type of fucking like super squared off shit where the U.K. still drinking underway and stuff. I think everybody else is a little bit more loose than we are.
Yeah, when the UK boats pulled into port because they used our explosive handling wharves to move missiles and warheads and stuff. Excuse me, cider burps. The rumor was they were able to drink underway.
Yeah, they have kegs with them. Yeah, so when we went on the ISX, I've talked about it a few times, but we battled them underway and lost. And the bet was that if we won, we got 2 kegs of beer. If they won, they got 2 of the big giant the big things of our soft serve ice cream.
Because you got tons of ice cream.
The big vats of that. Yeah.
I think I heard you talk about that. I forget if it was my episode or another one. I heard you mention that one time.
Yeah.
Oh, was that the ISX one?
Yeah.
Or is that on? I forget when you talked about that, but I heard you mention it.
Yeah, that was definitely on the ISX. And it was funny because they were like, absolutely not. You guys are not fucking drinking on the way. It's not going to happen. Like, there's no
Right.
way. So we didn't
Uh,
get to drink. So we got to pull into Plymouth, which was fun. But yeah,
Kentucky Blue got non-alcoholic beer underway, like Sharps No Duels, and we were in port. The Blues had the boat, but we show up one time for like a refit assist work day, and we're like, "What the hell? You guys have beer?" And we knew it was non-alcoholic, but they're like, "Yeah, it's non-alcoholic." And I'm like, "That's cool. I'll take that 0.5% alcohol by volume." Because we didn't, it was a psychological morale thing, right? We didn't have that.
right.
Yeah, the
I had,
taste.
I had a, I, I had, went through two captains, basically, technically three, but effectively two, and they had their strengths and weaknesses, but we never got, I guess, a third on Alaska, but we never got any type of beer, even non-alcoholic beer. So I thought that was awesome.
Did you ever have anyone sneak beer or liquor or anything on the boat?
No, no. Well, of course, I didn't notice that anyone did, but I actually think it didn't happen. Or if it did, it was in such a small quantity, it didn't matter. And there were no rumors about that either. So I don't think it happened. So we're gonna, we talk about these, and we're gonna talk about more times of people messing around, in an environment with nuclear weapons. But we were actually taking care of ourselves and being prepared to do our job. The vast majority of us were pretty squared away, and we didn't really put anything in danger. It was just we were so intimate and acquainted with these systems, we knew what we could get away with and not actually screw anything up. So we just exploited the environment. We never exploited the real systems or ourselves to the point where we'd stand watch, drunk or anything like that.
Yeah, they actually had a Royal Navy Submariner last week or the week before
I
last.
saw that. Yeah,
Yeah, he got
that guy was a dumbass. I
yeah,
don't know
he
why he
came in
thought he was
like
gonna get away with that.
he came in like really drunk. I mean, like really drunk. They were walking him off the boat, and he was like screaming how he had chicken or something like that. Like he's glad he got his chicken at least or something. I was just
You guys
fucking.
there?
Yeah, can you hear me? Oh, I think we lost Greg for a
Did we
second.
lose? Oh man, if we lost the internet, let me check. Are you still
I
there?
can hear you.
We're still
No.
there.
Can you
Good.
hear us?
Awesome.
All right.
Lost you for a
So
second.
chicken.
No, yeah, you're good. But yeah, so he's like I was saying, he was talking about like how he has his chicken or whatever. I don't know, man. Like, there's always that asshole. You're always gonna get that person. I mean, it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter what it
Right.
is. It could be nuclear weapons on aircraft. It could be all kinds of cool stuff. Somebody's
Never
gonna
gonna go
fuck
down
it
to
up.
zero human problems.
Right.
And that was a stress on us because that was the demand, that was the expectation. Like nuclear weapons, zero incidents, and there never were, and there never will be zero incidents as long as humans are involved.
And that's why I always felt bad for the nukes because they're in the same route, right? No nuclear
Right.
reactor accidents, no nothing. And they're working with fucking 50s technology, and God forbid something bad happens.
Don't take a primary coolant sample from the sink without wearing gloves or
Yeah.
whatever.
Oh man, when we were in
We had a guy
Norfolk,
do that.
we had a guy in Norfolk shut the pier down. He pulled off a bunch of like paint chips or something out of the around the primary valves and just walked off the pier with it. So they had to like shut the pier down and nobody was allowed to leave. We were stuck there for like a day. It was ridiculous. Oh yeah, man. Fuck all that. I feel
That's
so
crazy.
bad for those guys. And I went to nuke school and I really feel bad for them guys. I mean, they have a really rough life.
Yeah, arguably, the hardest jobs on the boat. In my opinion, especially if you're an EM, I would never want to do that. Placing brushes on MG or something, 500 kilowatt motor generator, coming
Yeah,
out looking like a chimney sweep.
seriously. Or the machinist mates having to like, clean out the condensers and stuff like that. That shit sucks, man.
Right.
Yeah, that shit's no fun. And then they still have to like do tests. They have to like test and do math tests and science tests where nobody else
Right.
cares. If you're a yeoman, nobody cares if you know math. They're lucky if you can write. Shout out to the yeoman. Anyway, sorry. So
All right, I got
go
another
ahead.
one.
Go ahead.
Speaking of things we do in Missile Control Center, we don't mess anything up. Just exploit the environment because that's our home. On I did eight patrols on Kentucky Gold. Did one TAD to Alaska Blue. Super cool command environment and officers and enlisted all around. Super cool on Alaska. It was a great experience. Best patrol I did was patrol number 9 for me. So cool, in fact, that there was this secret fight club of holding Ipecac down, Ipecac syrup, which makes you
Oh
vomit.
God.
It tastes like plum honey, kind of. I found out, and they're like, so Sack, you would think you could break the Ipecac holding record? And we're there in missile control, like near the launch consoles. And I'm like, yeah, bring it. So like, go get the doc. Tell everyone Sack thinks he could break the record. And so they go get a bottle of Ipecac and start the timer. And they're like, so and so's got the record. It's this many minutes. And the Chiefs are in there, E7, E7, E8, I think at the time, and the doc, the ship's corpsman was in there who brought the Ipecac from medical. And they give me a bucket and they have this video camera going and everyone's all grinning and I drink it and I'm all trying to tough it out. It, it starts to suck. I get like, oh man, I got the feeling in my stomach that I might throw up later in the day. So it was actually pretty miserable, but I did it. I broke the record and they had to give me a second bottle to actually make me puke. So I'm sure my record's been broken since then, but for a time I was the USS Alaska Blue Ipecac holding champion in missile control with live nuclear weapons aboard. And it was on video, and I puked into a bucket.
Is there like a
pretty
special
awesome.
plaque somewhere on the
I
boat?
was gonna say you can have one up in your brewery.
It's probably a bad idea, but there's in my heart there's a plaque.
Okay.
There should be like a hidden plaque. We'll just etch it on the back of the tube somewhere where nobody will see it.
Yeah.
We can get one made, maybe.
Probably. Like we had we had competitions on who could start the diesel the fastest, and whoever would break the record, we would take the bell, we would unscrew one of the alarm bells out of the overhead, and we would etch our names on the inside of the bell. So yeah, if you're on the Hampton, you can look at the inside of one of the diesel alarm bells near the door, and you can see all of our names etched into how we were breaking records of who could start the diesel the fastest.
Eric Marino there is on the bell.
Yep.
Is your name on there?
Somewhere.
Yeah.
Yep.
That's pretty awesome.
Yeah, little secret stuff. And then I think we ended up breaking the battle lantern like 2 or 3 times, battling over it, because we would have fights over if anybody could get the battle lantern in the machinery room. So the machinery room had a battle lantern in the back left corner of the machinery room.
Battle lantern is like a portable flashlight mounted on the wall.
That's the one you have over here.
Yeah, I actually bought one. I have one sitting next to me.
I have one sitting in the corner of our room
Nerd.
right here. And we found out the Russians have the same looking
The
one,
Russians
right?
have the same battle lanterns, yes. So
Industrial espionage at its finest.
yeah, exactly. I'm sure there's like things hidden on it and shit. But now they have LEDs now. But anyways, there was the one in the back, and the thing was, if you could get into the machinery room and take the battle lantern out of there, you're like the god of the submarine or whatever. And we would have these big battles, of like five or six of us, sometimes even 10, of just like people just like wrestling in the machine room trying to get this battle lantern out of there. And we only got it. We only had it lost once. Somebody snuck in and stole it. Well, nobody was paying attention. But it always kept.
Someone was probably trading somebody porn for something else.
Yeah,
Someone
right.
snuck in.
It was I need to get my golden shower porn. You guys can send that to me. I need to get that battle lantern.
We had a guy walk around and casually ask someone in the missile department 3rd level passer, "Hey man, you got any midget smut?" And the guy just goes, "No." And then everybody just keeps walking. And it was like, that was a normal conversation.
Just another day. Another day, right? That's.
Oh, speaking of what we called midgets back then, and I don't know what the PC term is now. There was a shipyard worker who was a short person.
Vertically challenged.
And vertically challenged, yes.
Yeah, we'll go with that.
Stereotypical vertically challenged person, you can imagine that. I never had interaction with him personally, but we had some maintenance going on the missile compartment lower level, which is the bottom of the ship where the missile compartment is, and the way that the floor is configured in missile compartment lower level. You have 2 tree trunk rows of missile tubes, 12 on each side going from the forward to the aft end of the ship, and there's maybe a 2-foot wide walkway going in between those, and you can't walk around the outsides, around the outboards. You have to go through this little bridge in the middle. So it's a really narrow thing you have to traverse, relatively narrow, and on the floor is flip up panels because you want to get into those bilge pockets and clean them out or pump water out if there's flooding or something if you need to. So it's a bridge of flip up hatches basically that you walk over. So, but sometimes I guess they replace the hatches and they'll just put a, like a 2x10 or whatever board across this bridge of nothingness that just drops into the bilge, and which is fine, right? Because you think they make the board long enough. Well, eventually, after a day of people walking across it, 3 or 4 bilge hatches wide, it had been vibrated back just enough where it was about to just become like a trap door as soon as you stepped on it. Well, anyway, this this short midget dude, for lack of a better term, was the one who got unlucky. And I wasn't there to watch it, but the guys who saw it said he fell into the bilge and just disappeared. Just stepped on the end that flipped down and just went down into the bilge and was so pissed off he just walked off the boat and didn't come back.
Oh yeah,
for
man.
the rest of the day.
I've seen people fall into the deep bilge on the 688 class, which is deep. I mean, it's 10 feet deep. You keep that hatch open and you don't pay attention, you'll fall right in there. And it's just pipes. I mean, it's unforgiving. It's not gonna be a good outcome when you fall down in there.
Yeah, that's crazy.
Yeah, we
I
actually
felt bad for the guy, but I mean, I guess 15 years later, it's a funny story. So I'm sure he'd laugh too. I hope he would.
Yeah, man. I mean, it's most people don't realize it. It's a 4-story building, and that's just the fast attack. The ballistic missile is what, 7 stories? 60.
Yeah, if you count the sail, it's really high. It's 4 stories internally, but the sail's pretty tall.
Right. Yeah, you end up being 6 stories, not including the periscopes and everything. It's just
periscope depth.
Huge beast.
Keel depth for periscope depth is 80 feet on a Trident.
Jeez, wow.
0.
What's the difference in crew? How many crew are in each on an LA and Ohio?
I think it's about 180 plus or minus on a Trident, on a strategic Trident.
Yeah, and we had one around 130. I guess was a good average. We could go all the way up to 150 if we had riders. But you didn't want that many people because they'd be just sucking all the air down, and you just have to be running everything, all your systems.
Yeah,
all
it's
the
a
time.
pain in the ass.
It's really nice when you go underway because, I mean, you can go underway with 110 people. It sucks when you don't have that many people because you have to stand more watches. But it's really nice because if it's just the crew, you have no riders. You guys are just out there kind of practicing. It's really nice because you don't have to run the systems very hard. You can just kind of go relax and go out there.
You're talking
and
about the
run.
atmosphere control and monitoring systems,
right?
Like things that clean the air.
Yeah. Running the scrubbers. I mean, if you're running a bunch of drills and you got a bunch of riders, you're just running the scrubbers all the time. So the machinery room's just constantly running everything it's got. Especially if you have to make oxygen, which sucks even more because the oxygen generator is a scary. It's I don't want to say a piece of shit, but it's fucking scary. And it's blown up multiple times. It's one of the things the Navy really needs to.
Depressurization, and fortunately, it was just being purged with nitrogen at the time. But it was scary. I had a fire hose out and ready to go, and because I was on watch, control and monitoring panel watching the missile compartment, and I was like, "Well, here we go. Here comes my real fire for my career."
Yeah, rapid DPs were the thing. We had a fake one happen when I first got to the boat. It was crazy. Like everybody's screaming. The machinery room is running out of there like, oh my gosh, it's gonna blow up! And he's running into 21 man. 21 man is like a little berthing area right next to the machinery room on a 688, and that was where the first class was. The guy who actually knew how to run the machine the best. So he just runs in there. This thing's gonna blow up. He fucking gets out. He's in his underwear. Like runs in his underwear. He's got nothing on, and he's just basically they tell you to just shut all the red valves. He just shut all these red valves and. He was like, it's fine. What's going on? He's like, there's nothing wrong with it. And apparently he just read the gauge wrong. Thought it was
he just read the gauge wrong?
Yeah, just thought it was a rapid DP. He read the wrong gauge. Apparently one of the gauges...
Sounds like a bad porno.
Yeah, one of the gauges was like reading 0 or something. He just read that and he was just like, holy shit, there's no pressure. Yeah.
No. See, how do you feel about skydiving? Because I've talked to Eric about this a few times. I don't think I could ever go on a submarine. But I could
skydiving?
Skydiving.
Airplanes, skydiving, all that stuff. Eric, we've talked about this a few times, right?
Right.
You would never do it.
There's no fucking way.
I would do that before going in a submarine.
Would you?
Absolutely.
Even a ballistic missile, like a big one where you have a bunch of walking room and
Probably, yeah.
there's.
I think it would
no,
just freak
bunch
me
of
out
walking
being
room.
500 feet under, or a couple hundred feet
It's
under
no
the
worse
water.
than taking a tour of one of the battleships.
Yeah, but at least I'm on the surface.
Yeah,
I'd rather be on a submarine. I
Yeah.
don't want
Yeah,
to
but you're not in like, Joe's airplane. You're in like one of the best built machines on the planet, especially if you're in a new one. You get on like the Washington or something that's been through some sea trials and it's actually worked its bugs out.
Well, I mean, I've been through,
probably
World
one of the
War II
safest places to
submarines
be
that are
in.
just on the surface, at museums and stuff. But
Well, it all
You'd rather
depends.
be an amateur skydiver than a steely-eyed killer of the deep, submarine
Yes.
qualified with your silver dolphins on the United States Navy's most powerful killing machine.
yep.
And just remember, if nukes drop, you're dead, even if you're jumping out of the plane or not. But I'm not.
Yeah, but what are you going to come back to?
It doesn't matter. I'm still alive. I'm still coming back, right?
Just tons
Mad
of
Max,
misery and
obviously.
suffering.
Oh
To
yeah.
restart your life as Mad Max.
And so speaking of which, we were talking about how submarines can basically kind of stay out until they run out of food. But the
Toilet
video,
paper.
the Navy's been pushing a lot now on resupplying at sea. So can you pull up the video of them?
Oh, yeah.
So they've had four resupply drops out at sea. One from a drone,
Here's the one.
one from a helicopter, one from an Osprey. So here's the one from the drone.
It's literally just a drone.
He's an
flying.
Osprey. That's pretty cool.
I was joking around that they were dropping some Texas Pete or something. He forgot his ketchup or something. I mean,
It's a
that
red
package
bottle.
is super small. It can't be more than an O-ring or something. But that O-ring can
Be
break
more
you
than
down.
a couple bottles of Texas Pete.
Right?
Let's see what we got.
Right.
Here's the
Secret
Osprey.
codes or something.
Yeah, it looks pretty cool.
Yeah, so here's the Osprey. You can see that it loads a whole lot bigger.
And you can barely even see that string.
I mean, it's a huge net. I mean, you could drop. No. These guys are like, I've never done this shit before. What the hell? I don't know what to do with this.
Yeah.
hook."
Find a
that'll-
couple bodies and give them this hook and tell them they can do it.
Do you,
Tell them they can do it. That's right.
so
That's
Eric and I
half
were
of what I
talking about
did.
that drone beforehand. That could be pretty useful too, right? Because if you have to resupply or do something or transfer stuff, I mean, it's going to be a pain pulling two submarines or a boat up to next to a submarine and hook them together and all that, right?
Yeah, you can just drop a drone over there, fly a drone over there, and just drop off whatever. It depends on the weight. It depends on what you're trying to move on and off.
True.
Right.
And the C-17, they've done this for a while, right?
Yeah, I mean,
This is not new.
but that's the thing, right? That's all of the machinery that the military uses is very, very, very complex, and one stupid thing can fuck up your whole deal, right?
Yeah, like a reactive compartment bilge pump. Apparently, there's only one of those, and if it breaks, you have to pull into port.
Yes, there's all kinds of just stupid shit, right? Bilge pumps, valves, an O-ring blows out, and you don't have one, right? Because you didn't think you'd need one, or it wasn't on
Right.
the list to have one. All that stupid little shit.
Diaphragms for the evaporator or whatever that makes fresh water. We went through like 10 of those one patrol and had to start making our own. It was crazy. We didn't shower for a week one time.
Yeah, RO filters, right? All that shit. It's just there's all this little stuff that you could run out of, or it could break, and you need one, like a
Right.
small little hydraulic valve, right? That controls of a gauge that you have to have, or you don't know if the system works, right? Just all this little stupid shit. You could just drop this off now instead of trying to pull this SSB in back in all the way back into Washington and going through all that shit, the maneuvering watch and all this dumb shit to get it in, where you could just have them pop up, drop off a box, one of those those waterproof boxes,
Right.
and they swim back out. I mean, I would have loved that shit. I can't tell you.
Right. This is a good segue into another story, which I think I'm still famous for among certain circles.
Nice.
At least I've been told recently that famous is probably the wrong word. Infamous. People still have this on their desk some places. All right. So when I was in, we had this concept in the strategic weapon system, and it was a paperwork concept. It's called a trouble failure report, or a TFR. And you would fill out a TFR electronically and print it and have it submitted. If there was trouble or a failure with a nuclear weapons system component, even if it was just in a subsystem like a computer system. So, speaking of things that go wrong on patrol and break, we had just switched from the Mark 98 Mod 1 fire control system to the Mark 98 Mod 4 fire control system, and we gotten these new um, 1280 by 1024 17-inch flat panel LCD displays to replace a lot of the old school buttons that were on the launch console. And those are cool. They look good, but it was really an armored box around a cheap backlit, fluorescent like backlit LCD display that had BNC inputs. It was like, Eaton or whoever the contractor was just pulled a fast one on us and folded some sheet metal around this and sold it to us for what ended up being $22,000 and some change. So we have all these failures with these backlights going out in this new fire control system. We go through all of our spares. I think there were like 4 spares. We go through all of them. We end up having to finish the patrol with 1 broken screen. We had a backup screen. There were 2 on the console, and we could just not use one of them. So like, hey, Krsak, fill out a TFR for these screens. We got to report this. So me, being the scrappy punk that I am, I find out these things are like 22,500 or whatever they were at the time. And in this formal TFR system that goes to Washington, D.C., I fill out this snarky ass trouble failure report. And it goes something like this. Problems in the LCD displays on the missile fire control system. Backlight breaks. We went through all our spares, and also they're too expensive. Imagine walking into Best Buy and telling your wife that you just dropped a cool $22K on a new flat panel LCD that's 17 inches. Just tell her you had to have the tan one. And I print this out, and I have to route this up the chain of command. My LPO and chiefs think it's freaking hilarious. The WEPS is like, send it up, see what happens. So they do. Everybody signs off on it, sends it up. Strategic systems programs, or whoever gets this, like, totally craps themselves. Some admiral, and I looked up his name, and I can't remember what it is. I'd have to look it up again. Calls my captain on the boat, said, "Yo, this report is making our relationship with our contractor Eaton look really bad. So please have the sailor that submitted this submit an apology TFR."
No way. You had to write an apology?
Yeah, I did. Yeah, I made a written apology.
Oh, fuck. That sucks.
But I've been told on Facebook, people are like, "Dude, I still have your TFR. It's on my desk."
Did they make you rewrite it, or did
No, they didn't make me rewrite it. They just made me send an apology.
Did they make you? Did you actually had to write the apology, or did the WEPs do it?
I had to write it.
Oh, that's so stupid.
So the dumb part is everybody signed off on it. Because I, as a MT3 or missile technician 3rd class or missile technician 2nd class or whatever I was, I didn't have the authority to route something like that high, at a national level. So everybody was like, "This is funny, send it." And then when everything went sour, they're like, "Krsak did it. He's in trouble."
Right. Oh my
That's just the way things work.
That's so ridiculous.
Yeah. But I'll take it. I didn't get busted for it.
Yeah, as long as you don't get in trouble, right? Fuck it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I was a that's where the brewery name comes from, Scrappy Punk. That's where it comes from, my attitude from back in the day.
That shit makes sense though. I mean, the amount of jokes we made about how much money we spent on stupid shit, a 5-cent O-ring costing $10 or
right.
whatever, just I remember Sonar, having to do upgrades and, changing out cards and all this stuff. And I remember they would just slide this card out and it'd be worth $15,000 and they just slide this new card in. There's the
VME card or whatever it was.
Some kind of IO card or something, and there goes their budget. One card. Fuck, man.
It was like that when I was in 2.
I just can't imagine. And I hated them because all they're doing is sliding cards in and out. Where I'm sitting here spending 12 hours trying to change this giant valve manifold or whatever, and they're just like, "Oh yeah, here's this little card." They just slide it out. Foop. and then I'm gonna slide this card in, and then I'm gonna go home.
I'm gonna get a NAM for this.
Yep, I'm gonna get an award for everybody seeing what I do. Yeah, part of the deal, right? Yeah, not much you can do.
That's the way of the United States Navy.
Yeah. So speaking of, we're looking at video of a harpoon getting loaded, but we wanted to go the other route and talk about hypersonics. I know you guys.
Are we done with sea stories already?
Yeah. Well, not necessarily. We're just kind of talking. I was just looking at the crazy wings on the back.
Hit me with your hypersonic questions.
Hypersonic, then we'll get back to sea stories.
Yeah,
we got to throw in a little bit of knowledge.
Yeah, and I gotta take a pee break anyway, so I'll let you guys riff on hypersonics.
So I think my video's lagging behind. Is that green thing that was just rammed into the tube? Was that a harpoon?
Yeah, it's a harpoon.
That's a canister for it.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, it's got the weird wings that fold up like a Star Trek. Or not a Star Trek, whatever that is. Star Wars.
Star Wars.
Is that a thing? Star Wars?
Or whatever. Yeah, Star Wars is a thing.
I'm all about Star Trek.
You guys not know the difference between Star Wars and Star Trek?
I do, but I don't
Eric
like Star Wars.
He's a Star Trek fan.
I'm a Star Trek fan.
So you get it confused between the two.
Yeah, every once in a while.
Yeah. I don't know, I guess.
But anyways, hypersonics. I am personally interested in it too because it seems like a fucking doesn't make any sense to me. Just saying, we have some pretty good systems in place, and they're actually stepping backwards and loading a harpoon in. Actually, they're gonna supposedly start using them again. You know, it's gonna be a viable weapon. You know, it's not an old antiquated system like it was when I was in 15 years ago. Now they're actually reviving it. But they are stepping forward and doing hypersonics. So I wanted to, what is your take on all of that?
So here's my my summary opinion, semi-educated summary opinion, for someone who's worked with hypersonic weapons, which the Trident II missile is.
Right.
So first of all, if you're not familiar with the missile I worked on, it was the UGM-133A, is an alpha, UGM-133 alpha, Trident II D5 missile, and it was a 3-stage space launch vehicle that went up into space and deployed a 4th stage, which is called the bus or the equipment section. That bus is going, at Mach 23 once it gets deployed off the 3rd stage, and those stages fall away like a NASA launch, like you'd see in a NASA launcher movie or something. That satellite's up in space, and that satellite has all the electronics brains of the missile. That satellite has everything that the missile that the missile to be. The missile is just skin and rocket motors, and servo actuators to control the nozzle. That bus actually has all the guidance systems and batteries and warheads on it. So once that gets deployed, the missile basically exists to deploy this little satellite into space. By the time it gets deployed, it's going Mach 22, Mach 23, and it's dropping these warheads off, and they're re-entering the atmosphere, and they're still hitting, somewhere between, Mach 5 and Mach 10 to give you a loose range of what
when
the
it actually
impact
impacts
velocities
on the
are.
ground.
Yeah, assuming the impacted the ground and didn't blow up in the air.
Yeah. So real quick though, so it's losing a lot of speed coming through the atmosphere, right?
Oh yeah, you're getting
Yeah.
high double-digit G's decelerating from Mach 23 to Mach whatever.
So the fastest speed is like right when it burns out its last engine. That's and then it starts slowing down because it's just like throwing a rock at that point, right? It's no longer under propulsion. To an extent, there's some other stuff, but
it depends on the flight profile and how far away the target is. I don't think the bus really ever burns out of fuel if you're really going to hit your target, but it probably comes close in some instances. But anyway, my point was of telling you all that the entirety of the Trident II nuclear weapon system is hypersonic,
right.
from boost to reentry and detonation. So when I hear hypersonic, like, oh my gosh, they're developing hypersonic weapons.
Yeah, we've had
hypersonic weapons have been around for decades.
Oh yeah.
Every nuclear weapons ballistic missile system is hypersonic. So my summary opinion when someone starts talking about hypersonics is to remind them that any hypersonic weapon system larger than a certain minimum threshold, and the minimum threshold is the size of the smallest possible nuclear warhead, any hypersonic weapon system larger than that minimum threshold is potentially a nuclear weapon with the same capabilities of the Trident missile system. And sure, you could make the distinction. Some are dropped from airplanes, or some are dropped from, one's dropped from an airplane, one's launched from a submarine. But really, if you're having an airplane do a standoff launch, 4,000 nautical miles away of some quote unquote hypersonic weapon system, are they really just launching a conventional attack at you? Or do you not really know? Are they launching a nuke at you? If they're launching a hypersonic weapon at you that's above the size of the smallest possible nuclear warhead, you might be getting nuked.
Yeah, I know there's a little bit different too in the flight trajectory. So it seems to me
Between
there's two.
ballistic missile and hypersonic,
Right.
but
Yes, yeah,
but my point is, like, you might be 30 minutes away from getting nuked.
yeah, that's true.
They're not having to fly an F-16 over there or an F-15 and drop a B-61 on you.
Yeah,
They're just launching something that's really, really fast, and it's big enough to hold a nuclear weapon. It's going to hit you in 30 minutes.
So the Trident, I mean, it goes way. It all depends on, I guess, where you're hitting at. But I mean, that thing can reach over 1,000 kilometers in apogee, right? It can go way up there, and you're going to be able to detect it because of the horizon. I have an image pulled up here. I don't know if you can see that. So the horizon, you're able to detect it while it's still kind of going up. Then with hypersonic, it actually kind of glides across the top of the atmosphere. So the idea is you're not even going to detect it until it's almost right on top of you, and you only have a couple minutes to actually be afraid that you might be getting nuked. Do you think there's any difference there? That might...
Depends if you can detect the boost, the boost phase flame from like the first stage or second stage motor
via satellite or something. Yeah.
Yeah, via satellite. So there's a big if on that. If you have satellites that can detect the 6,000 degree flame from the the propellant in the signature from the particular propellant, which is a commercial propellant that you can look up on the internet.
So when people are making a distinction between hypersonic weapons and then just talking about an ICBM or SLBM, I think they're really referring to the fact that it can maneuver, right?
Yeah, they're basically saying non-ballistic hypersonic.
Right.
Is what they mean. But if it's in the context of making, it doesn't imply a distinction that it's non-nuclear, because arguably it doesn't matter, because a ballistic missile is going to hit you, can depending on the flight profile, can hit you in less than an hour. And is it about flight profile, or is it really about delivery time? So that's the discussion I like to have. Whether I'm wrong or right, I think that's an interesting way to look at it. And by the way, to your point about how high the missile / warheads go, they go above the Kármán line.
Yeah. Well.
So it's much higher than 1 kilometer or 1,000 kilometers. Or
100.
Did you say, what did you say? One? I forget.
Yeah. So the Kármán line is 100 kilometers.
100 kilometers. Yeah. So they go above that.
Space to be. Yeah, way above that too. Well, I guess you don't put you in a position where you have to say yes or no, but. So do you think it's going to be a risk then deploying these things, because they're looking at deploying them on submarines?
I don't. So I think I think Russia's in a position to be hypocritical here if they're not careful. If they didn't want us to do conventional Trident, and what conventional Trident was is taking some of the nuclear, the plutonium-based nuclear weapons off of some Trident missiles and putting on just conventional explosive warheads on. So the Trident missile functions as designed, but instead of the bus dropping nuclear warheads, it drops just regular bombs and hits you in the same amount of time. So Russia made a little power play when we announced that we were going to look into that, and said, hey, we don't want you to do that because we're worried we might be getting nuked, which of course is stupid, because we're not going to just preemptively nuke Russia. I've seen how the policy makers think, at least around the 2004 timeframe, and nobody was even remotely interested in nuking Russia. So, but Putin said that to get us to cancel the program, and we did. There's no real difference between conventional Trident and a hypersonic weapon of any other format, as long as it's above the minimum threshold size to contain a nuclear warhead.
I've never thought about it like that. That's interesting.
Yeah, because you can put them on anything, right? Suitcase.
Yeah, exactly.
Grenades.
I remember reading somewhere they were talking about thinking about making nuclear hand grenades, but the problem was going to be finding someone stupid enough to actually throw it.
Oh God, yeah.
Somebody was too much of a Robert Heinlein fan.
Yeah, somebody watched too many Starship Troopers.
Yes.
You gotta nuke them.
That's one of your favorite movies, right?
Yeah, I love that movie, man. Love that movie. Such a good movie. I just love the fact that the veterans take over, is all I'm saying. Just a biased view. Oh, man.
Oh, yeah.
But go ahead.
Oh, if you don't mind me, I was gonna go into another story.
No, go for
because
it.
I just said, oh yeah. We're coming into port on USS Alaska after a patrol where we got extended. This is at the end of '04. And this was back when women weren't on submarines. So it was just a bunch of dudes that, around the holiday season, everybody was itching to get home and
Right.
be with their wives or girlfriends or whatever. And we're in our last day coming to port. And they're surface. They're coming into the Strait of Juan de Fuca, and they're getting on like the regular, civilian radio channels to, request permission to enter the, the harbor, whatever they do. And it's just a bunch of horny dudes. And the person who comes back is a female, like a well-spoken, attractive sounding female. And I was in I was in control at the time when I just randomly heard this happening. And everybody stops talking in control. Everybody who was chatting just stops, including the officer of the deck. And the officer of the deck lowers the microphone for a little bit, stares straight ahead. Everything's silent. Unkeys the radio and just goes, "Oh yeah." Just in the middle of control.
Oh my god, we're so ridiculous. We're so ridiculous.
Yeah.
Oh
But that's
my
the
God.
reality. It was totally ridiculous, but that's the reality of being a bunch of dudes being out to sea.
That's what it was. I mean, yeah. I mean, what do you do? I remember one time we had a new we had a bull nuke. The bull nukes are the I guess the lowest ranking ensign that are about to be qualified or some shit. I don't remember. Anyways, but everybody was giving him a bunch of shit, and they took multiple gay magazines and cut out all the
Go on.
pictures of all the guys and taped it inside of his rack and made him go underway with that. So when he slept with an entire rack wrapped in gay naked dudes. I couldn't believe it. And it was there for a long time. I mean, like weeks underway where they made
Who am I to judge? Maybe he liked it, which is fine.
Yeah,
Left
maybe
for
he
a
did.
That's a funny story.
Yeah, you got to learn to live with it, right?
Yeah, maybe he decided he learned to live with it. Whatever
Yeah.
he was doing in there, he just was like, hey, you know what? I could try this.
Adapt and overcome. Meanwhile, the Russians are listening to our video, going, these guys, no, that's no.
Yeah, they're just like us. Yeah, we should send them vodka.
Yeah, pretty much.
Meanwhile, we're showing videos of Russian SSBNs here.
Yeah, showing a bunch of Russian propaganda.
Yeah.
All right,
about-
Eric, best place to hide during field day on 688.
I mean,
Real quick, what is field day?
field day being
Oh, sorry.
So field day underway, or just in general, is where the boat basically shuts down everything it's doing to clean everything. I mean, it does no maintenance unless you're on watch or doing something vital, like maybe they're starting the reactor up or something. I don't know.
While
stop.
Eric's talking, I'm going to go get a bottle of tequila. I'll be right back.
Yeah, go ahead. So you stop whatever you're doing, everything. It doesn't matter what you're doing. You stop and you clean, and it sucks, and I hate it, and it's hours. And so they generally will take every Friday off for like, the half of the day, either morning or afternoon, and then you just clean all day, and all you do is just wipe up oil. You crawl into the out spaces that are really hard to get to, and it just sucks. It's just no fun. You're just wiping up oil and crap all day. And I think that, my favorite spot, I was a torpedo man, so, I had access to the torpedo room and stuff, and we didn't really go anywhere else unless they told us to. So my favorite spot was to crawl outboard the torpedo tubes, because most people didn't know anything about, how to get back there, or if that was even a spot. And it wasn't just field day.
All right, I'm back.
It wasn't just field day, though. It was, that day after, that morning after in Guam, when I puked in that dumpster and wiped my face with a trash bag out of the dumpster. I woke up that morning and I was a complete damn mess. I mean, it was the worst hangover I've ever had in my entire life. And I told my chief, like, I'm not working. I'm not doing anything. He's like, Here's what you're gonna do. You're gonna crawl outside of the tanks underneath the torpedo tubes, and you're gonna stay there, and you're gonna sleep there. And that's what I did. I slept. I slept on top of a metal pipe for like 8 hours.
I have
It
a
was
similar story,
horrific.
actually.
It was the best thing that could ever happen to me. And he was like, because you wasted my day, you can't leave tonight. And I'm like, I don't give a shit. I mean, last night was horrific. I'm good. And I didn't leave. And I had to stay there that night and work because I didn't work that day. But yeah, outside hiding outside the torpedo tube is probably my favorite spot.
What about you?
My favorite spot was so Trident has a S8G reactor and the engine room to support that. Engine room is basically the steam plant of a thermal propulsion plant. And out on top of and in between the main condensers, definitely. There's usually someone there by the time you get there, but if you can claim that spot in between the main condensers, that's the best.
You got to run there like they're opening a theme park, right?
And sometimes you're climbing the ladder to get up on top of the main condensers, and there's already like people more senior than you up there, and just looking down, and they're giving you the eye, like, go away, don't draw attention to us, we outrank you. And so you're like, oh, next time, boat.
Oh.
But I had a reputation for not drinking until I was 21. I joined the Navy. I left for the Navy. I hit boot camp when I was 19, and I got out when I was 25. And I had this arrogant philosophy that I will never touch alcohol until I'm 21 years old. So everybody knew this, and they thought I was weird. But it worked out for the context of this story. So I turned 21 when the boat's in port, and some of my buddies decide to get me completely drunk. And I don't know what's going to happen because I've never had alcohol before. So like, hey, Krsak, you mind if we drink with you on your birthday? I'm like, oh, thank you. That'd be great. I'd really appreciate that.
Thank you.
Yeah.
That's
Thanks,
when you
guys, for
regret
being
it.
good friends.
Gentlemen.
Yeah. Anytime you say thank you to a submariner, you got to regret that shit.
Yeah. So with no drinking experience, I have a glass of wine. I have a blended sex on the beach, 7 shots of rum and 7 shots of whiskey. That's my first drinking experience.
Oh my God.
I threw up twice and woke up smashed.
Oh, it's the worst.
And I had
too.
duty the next day. I had to call. I was so afraid of driving drunk. I had to call a buddy to drive me down to the boat, which he was nice enough to do. Thanks, Corey Trimble, by the way. You're awesome. Even though you're in the Air Force now. So I show up and I'm like, I can't do anything related to a nuclear weapon system drunk. You know, it would violate my sense of integrity, which I did have. Like I said, we exploited the environment, not the actual nuclear weapons. So I show up, I walk into missile control, and they're like, oh, good, Krsak, you're here. Go stand nuclear weapons security guard, missile compartment, upper level aft. I'm like, I'm drunk. Everybody stops and turns their head. They're like, what? You're drunk? Like, yes, it was my 21st birthday last night, and I'm drunk. And then the weapons officer, who's a 04, he goes, sleep it off in the wine cellar, which is like a little back art compartment of missile control. And don't let it happen again. I'm like, roger that. Slept it off in the wine cellar. Nothing happened, didn't get in trouble, and went about the day when I sobered up.
Man, yeah.
So for all the times I got in trouble, and there were a lot, sometimes fairly and sometimes unfairly, that was a time when people were cool.
Yeah, and that's the great part about being in that life is they've all been through the same shit you have, more than likely. Right. They're not going to try to make your life hell. And what sucks is if they make your life hell, they're probably going to make their own life hell because now they're not going to stand your fucking watch anymore.
Right.
You can't.
Or they're going to get a little bit more bitter and angry themselves and just not realize they're unhappy.
Right. This isn't like manufacturing. You can't just run everybody off and hope your plant still runs. Like you have to have these people. You can't just run these people off because you got to like double volunteer to do this shit. So,
Totally.
I mean, especially if you're going to be messing with nukes, you can't just have everybody running around like a bunch of assholes. Like they gotta be able to handle themselves and do their thing.
Yeah, there has to be some legitimate standard of internal integrity that you own, even if you goof around, even if you use the environment to goof around. I totally agree.
Yeah, I mean,
And people are pretty good at that.
Yeah, we did stupid shit, right? Like we had a bunch of guys buy a bunch of alcohol and samurai swords before deployment was over, and so they're like, "Well, how do we get them back?" Like, well, we can't just have people
Let's put 'em on
walking
a
around.
submarine.
We can't have people walking around with bottles of habusaki and fucking samurai swords like they're ninjas. So
Hide it in dip cans.
yeah, the captain just locked him in the torpedo tubes. He actually he took a fucking torpedo tube and locked it. We had a torpedo tube that was not functional, and we didn't have any way to fix it. So he's like, "Fuck it." We just shoved everything in it. We packed it.
So
as
what
tight
they
as we
flipped the
could.
sign to? Did it say war shot loaded, or did it say sake and samurai swords loaded?
Habusaki samurai. Yeah, I don't know. That's a good question. Man, if it did, that'd be fucking awesome. I wish I had that picture. But I mean, because the captain's the only one with the key, so nobody's gonna get into the Habusaki underway. So fuck it, who cares? Let's just bring this shit back. And customs doesn't care. Like, they're not gonna go and search a submarine. They don't give a shit. They're like, you guys have a fucking blast. What are you gonna do? Bring back small children? Like, you're not a carrier.
They'll send someone down, but it's like voluntary report.
Right.
You probably know. If you don't say anything, they don't care. They just want. If anyone wants to be honest and tell me what they have, then come to the officer study or whatever and fill out this paperwork and pay $1,000, dumbass.
Yeah, I mean, nobody's bringing back like crazy weird fruit or, some kind of weird virus or, some samples of some stupid shit. I mean, there's just a bunch of dumbasses trying to bring back swords and liquor,
Putting them in torpedo tubes.
Yeah. we're just simple people. We're not trying to
We have few demands.
we're not trying to bring in, crazy fruit that's going to like fuck up the whole East Coast or anything. So we just want liquor and swords.
Yeah. I snuck potato chips into missile control one time. You're not supposed to eat on watch in missile control. So I had a little mini bag of Lay's like you might have had on the boat. And I was standing watch on the left side, which is the fire control supervisor. And we had these laptops, like a standard size laptop, and they had secret stickers on them because the logs were secret. We just kept logs on them, like logs of what happened. We took the watch, we relieved the watch. This happened, this went down, we fixed this or whatever. And so I had that lid partially closed to try to poorly conceal that I was snacking on this open bag of chips. And it ended up looking like I was reaching into the laptop and pulling out a chip and quickly putting it in my mouth. But it was so poor of a disguise because the door to missile control is from the side, which of course, if you have a laptop facing straight on and someone's coming in the door from the side, it doesn't matter how far you close the laptop, you can pretty much see that there's something, something inside from the cross section of the laptop. So my chief walks in, immediately notices, doesn't say a word. And this guy despised me, by the way. It was part he despised me and part wanted to teach me a lesson. And both both of those things ended up making me wiser as an adult. But at the time, in this context, he hated my guts. So he silently walks and goes, "How's everybody going? Good. Walks over to me, and with the full force of his massive arm and hand, slaps the top of the laptop lid, smashes the bag of chips. Chips go flying all over missile control, all the way to the back of MCC, and the laptop lid latches on this crushed bag full of the remaining chips. The secret computer laptop. There's chips everywhere in missile control. And he looks down at me, this burning eyes. He goes, "Krsak, clean that up and then sweep MCC." I'm like, "Yes, Chief." And I felt so stupid and embarrassed at the time, but now it's just freaking hilarious.
Yeah, it's just a bag of chips that gives a shit.
Yeah.
I was talking to FPS Chasley last night. He's a guy who does does like sub sim stuff. He's a big submarine fan. Does a lot of stuff on YouTube. And I was talking to him. We were talking about submarine culture and how he likes the sub culture. And I was like, "You like it, but when you live it, it's a little bit different, right?"
That's perfect way to describe it. Yeah.
So it's 07. The Hampton had just pulled out of dry dock. It's actually in the water now, but it's still in the shipyards, sitting in the water, waiting final testing. And so they do the Navy will do what they call a fast cruise. So a fast cruise being you basically just act like you're underway. And on
Yeah,
a
we did that
submarine,
too.
you shut all the hatches, you recirculate, you basically act like you're underway. And so you don't, obviously propulsion's locked out. You can't kill divers or something that's going on outside, but you act like you're underway. So we had a fast cruise for an entire week. Well, for whatever reason, our captain decided to be nice to us and let us off for 2 hours on the Wednesday. So it was Monday through Friday that we were going to be on this fast cruise, and we got 2 hours off on Wednesday to run up to the gas station, basically, buy whatever stupid Red Bull and beef jerky shit we could find, and then bring it back to the boat. So we don't have any cars or anything at that time because we thought we were going to be on the way for the whole week. So we just walk up to the gas station. And as we're walking up there, there's a chief. There's 4 of us. This chief across a baseball field starts screaming at us, "Hey, hey!" And so I'm thinking like, "Holy shit! There's like a car wreck or something going over there. Like we got to figure out what's going on." So we start going over to this chief, and he's running at us across this baseball field. And he's like, "Hey, what is up with you guys?" And we're kind of like, "What's going on? Like, is everything okay?" He's like, "Why is your hat on like that?" And he's looking at me and he's pointing at my head. And I'm like, "What are you talking about?" He's like, "Your ball cap, I can see your head. I can see your hair from across the baseball field. This is bullshit. You need to fix your fucking hat." And I'm like, holy crap, like we just got 2 hours off and now I'm going to deal.
Yeah, when was the last time you were underway, dude?
Yeah, now I've got to deal with this chief yelling at me because he could see my hair in my hat. Like you got to be fucking kidding me with this. And so we're just like,
I've seen stuff like that happen. Yeah.
We're just like, okay, well, I'm sorry. Like, I'm sorry. Like I didn't mean to offend you or whatever I did. Here you go. I'll pull my hat down. I literally pulled my hat down 2 inches. He's running at me across the baseball field, screaming at me because my hat is 2 inches too high, right? And he can see my hair.
Yeah, that's true. I've seen people do very similar things. It's just amazing the disconnect between. It's like in Das Boot where the submarine guys come off the boat of just getting totally terrified and messed up, and they have this big celebration, and there's the social disconnect between the people celebrating them and give them all this fancy food versus them just like living reality and thinking like, what the hell are you guys trying to do? Like, you don't understand this at all.
Yeah.
I don't know if you guys remember that scene.
Yeah. When you put yourself in that lifestyle, it's like, I remember talking to people on the surface ships and they were like, you can walk off the boat in coveralls. Like, what does that even mean? Like,
yeah,
well, we're a submarine community. Nobody cares. Like we actually have to work and we can't just walk around in whites all day. Like we have oil and shit. You literally can't touch anything on a submarine without getting dirt all over you. So
yeah, totally. Especially greasing and Trident missile hatches. It's crazy.
Oh yeah, it's crazy. And there's absolutely we used to go to school. We would go to like other school, not a school, but other the extra schools you get to go to, and we would be wearing our utilities and it would be covered in grease and they're all black stains and we look like ass. It looked like complete shit, but we all look the same. Like we walk in as a crew of people who look like shit because that's what we did. Like we can't afford to spend $50 every Monday replacing our shirt because we had a big old grease stain on it. It's just not worth it. We don't care anymore.
Yeah,
We're just gonna,
the same for me.
We're just gonna roll with it, and just look like assholes. But it is what it is. It's part of the life.
Hey, I know we're probably running short on time. Are you guys trying to hit 2 hours, or can you go over?
We can
No,
do
man, go
whatever.
ahead.
We
We're
can
just-
do
we're
20
just-
hours.
Yeah, we're just
Okay.
playing.
We got enough whiskey for it, right?
Yeah.
I had another bottle. I
Tequila here.
bought 2 of those
Whiskey's
bottles.
awesome too.
Oh yeah.
I just wanted to make sure I finished my list of sea stories.
No, go for it.
But I also didn't want to. If we can go along, then
No,
let's
go
do
for
that.
it.
I'll
Let's
not
do it.
pressure you guys. All right, I'll throw another one out here. All right, did you guys ever hit? Did you ever obviously hit like a whale or something? We hit a whale one time. At least I don't think it could have been anything else.
No, I don't think so.
I was missile compartment, 3rd level, where berthing is, walking. I forget which direction I was walking, but it was an ice seaman, interior communication person. His name was Garza. He at the time I perceived him as very old. He was probably 40 or something, but I thought he was super old. He's probably younger than I am now.
Right.
And but he was old, this salty sailor, crusty guy, the crustiest dude on the boat. And I'm just matter of factly walking towards him, and all of a sudden we hear going from one end of the boat to the other, from the forward end to the aft end, boom, 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 just really loudly. I'm like, Garza, what the hell was that? And he just keeps walking. He goes, "Oh, that was a whale." Damn, that probably was a whale. Poor whale, just pinwheeling across the submarine. Has no idea what's about to happen.
Now you know why Greenpeace fucking hates us. They hate the Navy.
Don't worry, Greenpeace. We pulled over to the side of the ocean and made sure it was okay.
Yeah, you got out and checked on him.
Yeah, exactly.
We need to go active, make sure he's still alive. Peg him, make sure he's still swimming.
Oh man, that would be just the visual of that.
God, no, we never hit anything.
It was funny
Not
because
that
we
I
couldn't
know.
see anything. We were just like, "Oh, that makes sense." It
It's
was
all
a
just
whale.
mental. You have to
Yeah.
picture it.
It's like reading a book.
Yeah, I mean, if the whales aren't making noise, you're not going to pick them up passively. You'll just run right into that bitch, right? Oh man, how funny if it
Imagine
was like
being
the
that
sonar
whale.
tech, like trying to track it like straight Red October style. No, it's a whale, Jonesy. It's a whale.
A whale, a marine mammal that knows a hell of a lot more about sonar than you do.
Seriously, you guys are running into that bitch. Oh man, the visual in my head of that thing rolling off the side of that hull is just repeating, and it's
I can
great.
make a 3D model of it, but
Yeah. Can you make a 3D model of that? Is
I've
that a-
tried to do
Can
it. In
HI Sutton
dangerous-
do that in MS Paint?
Yes. Yes, we'll definitely get him through that
There you go.
for our next time we have him on.
Tac
my
Ops
God.
anniversary episode.
Yeah, in cold water, they have whales in cold water, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, I think I've tried to do it in dangerous waters. I've tried to like chase one down and run into it. I think you just go straight through them, but
Yeah, you just hit, you just bounce off of them. I think in cold
no
water.
collision detection. They're bounding box on those guys.
Yeah.
It's just invisible scenery. That's funny.
Oh my god. Oh man, and the Navy's trying their hardest to save the whales, and you're over here fucking running into them.
Yeah.
can you see that? Can you see the headline on that too? And like a news story, USS nuclear submarine runs headfirst into the whale.
It's a whale. Doesn't even check on it to see if it's
Yeah.
okay.
Yeah, there's like some like Japanese fishing vessel there, like trying to catch it, and they're like, "Oh, look at these assholes, let's get them." And then they actually take it up afterwards and eat it. Oh man, yeah, could be rough.
They reportedly did not pull over.
It's just whale falls for research, right?
Someone would complain about it, I'm sure.
I'm sure they would. You can't just be running into whales. But I mean, if you're running blind, what are you supposed to do?
Yeah,
Right.
If the
And it was
only
so
way
dark
to
the whale couldn't
drive,
see. We couldn't see.
right? If
and
the-
they couldn't detect. They didn't know you were there. I don't know how whales navigate, but they use some form
I
of
don't know.
sonar,
I
right?
assume they can't see with their eyes underwater, but
No, but they have their own. I guess.
if they could have seen us, they would have avoided us.
Sure.
That's what
they
I
could have
think.
been playing with the boat. I mean, they're fucking crazy. You know, the dolphins play.
Oh
every
yeah,
time.
I've seen videos of them. I think I played a video
Maybe the
of them
whale was
jumping.
playing chicken.
Yeah, I mean the mammals they're really playful when it comes to being underway.
The whale was like, I have heard legends of the chicken.
The steel chicken.
Oh,
Yeah.
it tastes like
I got a chicken story.
chicken underwater.
This guy,
Brought a chicken on board.
no,
Live
he
chicken?
was a CS, which back then was called an MS, mess management specialist. Now they're called a culinary specialist, which means a cook underway. And this guy was a junior guy. He was a seaman apprentice or a seaman, an E2 or an E3. I was an E5, I believe, at the time. Appreciable rank difference. And I'm kind of in a grumpy, I guess, mood. Maybe grumpy's not the right word. Like a disaffected mood at the time. Kind of pissed off, and I'm walking past the galley, going forward, and I see this guy walking past with a cup of coffee, in a manner which suggests it's important. The coffee is important. He's moving with a purpose. I'm like, hey, shipmate. I knew I could mess with him because he was ultra junior. Shipmate, where are you going with that coffee? He's like, oh, petty officer, I'm taking this to the captain. This is the captain's coffee. And I said, hand me that cup right now. And he goes, oh, okay, here you go. And then wait right here. Okay, I'll wait right here. I take it into the trash room where you smash trash and shoot it down into the ocean. Unzip my poopy suit. Dip my balls into it. Zip my poopy suit back up. Zip my coveralls back up. Hand it back to him. And he goes, you can continue. Go on. He gets this big grin on his face. Like he knew what happened. He goes, hey, man, that's nothing. You should have seen what I did to this lieutenant's chicken the other day.
Oh, man.
Oh my God! Did he tell you?
Yeah, he did. I said, okay, dude, cool. What'd you do? He goes, all right. Pulled my dick out and did like these figure 8 slaps on it before I served it to him.
Figure 8 slaps. Did he try to like motion what it
Oh,
looked
he totally
like?
did. Yeah, it was amazing.
Just like making fake slap.
Gyrating, yeah.
Oh my God.
Striking left and right.
That's good. That's so funny. Hey man, sorry if you're an officer and you're listening to this
Yeah,
show.
sorry. I'm not going to mention any names on that one, but I remember
like
both of the names.
Yeah, I thought it tasted a little funny.
But I mean, unless you're cool to the enlisted guys, they will fuck with you, and you might get a figure 8 slap on your chicken.
You might get an E5 pretending your coffee is his hot tub.
Oh man, yep. Getting the old. We were drinking Long Branch Wild Turkey. We were talking about Matthew McConaughey dipping his balls into the whiskey to make it official. It's kind of the same deal, right?
That's why you pay a premium for that.
The old CS.
It's like the
dip.
worm in the tequila.
Yeah, or the scorpion or something. Yeah.
The old CS chief has to put his signature on it, right?
No balls to drink the pube. No, man, I wouldn't do that.
No.
All right, I got one about cashews.
Oh, here we go.
Like the nut. All right, so this total piece of crap MT1 missile technician first class. It's an E6. His name is Chavez. Chavez. Chavez.
I want to spell his name out, give you his middle name just to make sure everybody knows who this
Yeah,
piece
what's
is.
his social?
Ray.
Just the last 4.
Anyway, this guy had a thing for cashews, which is no big deal, right? Everybody has their food preferences.
Right.
The mistake he made, the tactical error, was that he stashed his little tin of cashews behind the launch countdown books in missile control. And eventually we figured out where he stashed his food stash. Because this guy was big. He was on Mando PT, he never exercised. He was overweight.
Right.
He was always dinking his chief of the watch quals. He was just like a dirtbag that was, floating towards retirement, and everybody just let him exist because they didn't want to ruin his life by kicking him out of the Navy before he retired.
Right.
So this guy keeps his cashews in missile control. Everybody hates him. He was particularly not fond of me. Chavez hates me because I'm immature enough to give him a bunch of crap. But everybody else generally hates him and leaves him alone, or mildly messes with him, in the way Petty Officer Murray messed with him one day. And I believe Murray would enjoy me telling the story. So Murray is kind of a punk ass. One day, when enough people are watching, because Murray probably wouldn't do this event unless people were watching. Murray takes his cashews, Chavez's cashews. Chavez doesn't know this has happened. It's just me and a couple other dudes. This is happening in missile control, by the way, near the launch consoles. Murray's like, guys. I know where Chavez keeps his cashews. Watch this. You want to see something? Murray completely pulls down his coveralls, his one-piece coveralls, around his ankles, opens up the tin of cashews in missile control, pulls down his underwear, packs his ass crack full of cashews, shoves them up into his ass crack, completely full, sets the tin of cashews on the ground, and does a little jig over the tin of cashews and kind of rains down cashews back into it, so they go back into the tin. He's like, and cashews are dropping into it, and he picks up the rest of the cashews, puts them in the tin, and then puts them back where Chavez had them.
Oh my god.
We just left it there for him.
I love cashews, but I don't know.
You don't love them that much.
I know. Yeah. I'm not even going to try to ask them to manually review this video to get it monetized.
No. We're going to lose all money on this
I'll
video.
send you a check to make up for it.
It's all right. Yeah.
Totally worth it.
Absolutely.
Murray did that to Chavez again with a bottle of water. Chavez liked bottled water. There was a brief period where Chavez tried to work out. Exercise, but it was short-lived. So he would keep his bottled water in a Zarf in missile control. Zarf is a slang term for a cup holder that's mounted to the wall. So Murray's like, guys, Chavez left his bottle of water in missile control. And again, I'm standing around with a bunch of guys. And, okay, yeah, what are you going to do? He's like, check this out. He pulls his poopy suit down around his ankles, pulls his underwear down again like he did with the cashews, and takes the cap off the bottled water, just partly drank. And he kind of like screws the lip of the uncapped bottled water up towards his butthole in between his cheeks. Kind of twists it around like he's twisting the cap onto it, but it's his butt. And then he takes it out, puts the cap back on, and sets it back. So I'm thinking, oh, this is too good. Like, I don't have to wait around for Chavez to get hungry. I know he's been drinking water. He's going to come back for that and take a drink. So I wait. For Chavez to come back. And sure enough, Chavez comes back for his water. And he picks up the water. I'm like, this is too freaking perfect. And I start tailing him. I start a tail on Chavez. I follow him around the missile compartment. Like a distant tail. He doesn't know I'm following him. But he's just freaking holding this bottle. He's just carrying it with him, and he's not drinking it. And I'm like, come on, dude, drink your freaking water. It's like, a spy movie where they're tracking the bad guy, but they're like, come on, do bad guy stuff. Why are we tailing you? So eventually, like 15 minutes later, following Chavez around covertly around the submarine, he finally stops, casually unscrews the cap. Like, oh, I should probably freaking drink some water now. I'm such a fat ass. And slowly, in my mind, it's in like 2,000 frames per second slow motion. Slowly raises up to his lips. And takes a big drink. Oh my gosh, that was one of the most satisfying moments I had in the United States Navy.
Not shooting missiles, none of that shit.
No,
Watching
no,
a guy.
actually,
ball dip.
for real though, shooting the test launch I did was actually probably one of the most satisfying moments. That was super awesome. And we talked about that in the other Greg
did,
K.
yeah.
Mystic episode.
Yeah, we definitely did. I've already made a clip out of that one. It's probably one of the funniest stories I've ever heard. If you haven't seen that yet, oh my god, it's so funny.
You think this stuff is going on? We talked about Russia. Do you think it's going on in North Korea too?
North
Can you
Korea?
imagine being on the Simpo class?
Don't try to get too serious too fast.
No. One of the Romeo ones. Do you think they're showing off their dipping their cashew?
Realistically, I was actually thinking about that with the Japanese because the Japanese are so, on point with all that. Like
Yeah.
they're the ones actually living that, like, the few, the proud type shit. And I don't know. I mean, maybe. I mean, you can't
throw a bunch of guys together right out of high school and not expect them to mess around, right?
Yeah, that's true. Especially the guys who join when they're like 17 and get their parents' permission, and they're 24 now. They grew up in that sophomore environment. I'm telling all these jokes, but it's many years removed, and I have a wife and daughter and a business now, and I don't act like that anymore. But
Yeah, you would
relive
never
those
do
days
anything
like it was
that.
the other day.
For your wife or anything, right?
I wouldn't, but I remember them. They were in my formative years, and some people even joined the Navy in their more formative years. When they're still when you can join when you're under 18 if you have your parents' permission. Some people did that, and that was the only way they grew up. And I think in some cases, not all, but in some cases that affects people's development and maturity into adult life.
It does. Because it's just
Yeah,
crazy.
you know what I'm talking about, right?
It's
Like, well, this
a-
dude was in the military.
It's a crazy lifestyle, man. Like, but it's one of those things that you get to see people completely unhinged. And
Right.
I mean, I hate to say it, we had a guy set a yacht on fire. We had some like really unhinged people, right? I don't know if I told you guys that story.
No.
So we had a fire control technician. We pulled into Fort Lauderdale for Fleet Week, and pulled in there for Fleet Week. We're there for a couple of days trying to represent the Navy and all this shit, right? In Florida, Fleet Week is gangster because you could pull reactors in there. If you go into New York Fleet Week, you can't pull reactors in, so they just pull in like cruisers or whatever, and surface ships and whatever. So we pull in, and most submarines don't really get to do Fleet Week. It's not a thing, and so we're the only submarine there. We pull in. We have a fire control technician, and this is all online. I'm gonna say names just because it's all documented. His name's Coloretti. And he's one of our junior. He's like a FT3. He's only a third class or whatever. And so he goes out with us with his sea buddies or whatever. They're supposed to watch him, and he disappears. And so the guys get back to the boat, and they're like, "We don't know where he's at. We don't have any clue where the fuck this guy is." And they were like, "He was with this really rich white lady. I don't know what's going on, but she was like super rich." And she was really trying to get all over him. And so we just assumed, hey, maybe he just went back to her place. Well, we found out her place was a yacht. Like she owned a multi-million-dollar yacht and brought him back to the boat. Somehow overnight, this yacht gets caught on fire. And she comes running off the yacht saying that he's set the yacht on fire. And this yacht is burning down. It's like a $2 or $3 million yacht. And so, so we send guys out to the place to go pick him up and figure out what's going on. And so the police just arrest him. They're like, "You guys aren't taking him back. We're gonna arrest him right here." So they arrest him. They bring him into fucking all this. And he's got a family. He's got kids, daughters.
Right, of course.
And so we all just assume like this lady probably drugged him, because we found out pretty quickly. The police were telling us that she just left her husband. And they were maybe thinking that it was an insurance claim. Like she just was blaming it on him to try to make a couple $1 million off this yacht. So, fucking a year later, he's still in court, still going through all this stuff. And they find him guilty. They find him guilty of burning this yacht down. And he is still in jail for burning this yacht down on Fleet Week. Yeah, crazy. I don't know if he had anything. He was one of the weirdest people I've probably met in the Navy, which is saying something, right?
He guys was like that. You're like, I've met some weird dudes, but you are like the frosting of the weird cake.
We had a guy on our boat who was literally like a Lord of the Rings character. Just walking around like that.
I can think of a guy like that. Yeah.
But no, this guy was a lot more weird than that. He was just like serial killer weird, like kind of normal, but not really normal a lot of the times.
Yeah, we had a guy like that. He had a big burn on his face from drinking like a flaming Dr. Pepper that was set on fire, and he wanted to drink it while it was on fire at the off-base bar Torpedoes off of Kings Bay. So he drinks it thinking it's going to go out, but it burns his freaking face. So he has like this permanent freaking pink like mark around his face from being burned by a flaming Dr. Pepper that splashed all over his face. Ugh. And he had gotten kicked off the West Virginia, and I think he was a nub, but he had been on the boat for like 3 years or something. I might be getting the timing wrong, but basically imagine someone in that category of dirtbag. And he had a tattoo on his forearm that said USS West Virginia, but he had just gotten kicked off of it.
Awesome.
Flaming Dr. Pepper burn on his face, and he would like jack off in his rack with his curtain half open and breathe heavily while people watched. He was just a catastrophe, a comedy of errors of like the sailor you don't want in the Navy.
No.
I don't even remember what happened to him. I don't even know if he got his dolphins ever. I think he might have gotten kicked off the boat or something, but it was like, where did you come from?
You know what
fantasy land of Mordor did you arrive from on a Viking ship?
Everybody's got to have a little small amount of mental illness to actually volunteer to be on a submarine. Somebody just somebody just takes it way too far.
I got an extra helping.
Right. I already got mental illness. Fuck it, let's just roll with it.
Yeah, he was a freaking weird dude.
Oh my god. Yeah, man.
But we had normal guys who would do weird stuff too. I would like to think I'm normal. But I did weird stuff. We had another guy, someone I still look up to. We had our ups and downs when we were in. His name is Paul. Paul, if you're listening, you're a badass, even though you joined the army. So Paul, among many funny Paul stories, he had this thing. Where he's like, "Hey guys," and Paul joined the Navy when he was 17, and he was an attractive, kind of shaved head, in fit, tall guy. You could see him as a ladies' man a little bit in that time of his life. There's a couple funny stories with him. One was like, he was like, "Hey guys, you ever like drive down from Kings Bay to Jacksonville, Florida, or Orlando or Miami, whatever? You never really notice any hot women on the way?" And I'm like, no, but sure. Maybe you don't. You don't ever see any attractive women. You stop at a stoplight, you look around, you don't ever see the attractive women. But when you go to the mall, you see them. They're there. I'm like, okay, yeah, sure. I see them at the mall. And he's like, yeah, they just appear at the mall. So my theory is there's an underground babe monorail that transports attractive women to the mall.
Dude, he figured it out. He figured it out.
He's got to get on that rail. That's what it is.
Yeah, I
You
gotta get
guys
on that
haven't been
monorail.
taking that rail?
Fuck yeah. I need to get
We
on
hadn't
that
been
rail.
taking that rail, no.
Right.
We were at
You
the
got
sea
one here,
talking
too?
about it though. Another funny thing he did. He was like, we're all sitting around underway talking, bored and just revealing our most personal, intimate details. And Paul goes, I got this funny thing I do with my girlfriend. Every time we have sex, just to mess with her. Like after we finish, we lay down. I lean over into her ear, like I'm gonna love up on her and kiss on her. But instead, I go, he would tell that story every once in a while when it was the right time to bring it up because it was funny every time. So everybody just thought it was so funny. Like on both crews, you tell it when we're in port sometimes when the blue crew was there, Kentucky Blue. So it got to be a thing. We'd go around to each other and going, You just imagine pissing someone off, like, what the hell are you doing? Stop that. Knock it off.
God, we're so stupid. It's ridiculous.
All right. Have you ever, did you have on the fast boats, did you have the shower doors like curtains, like metal curtain rods with metal like curtain rings, shower curtain rings?
No, ours were actually like solid doors.
You had solid doors? Okay.
Yeah.
On the Tridents, when I was in the early mid 2000s, they were shower curtains, cloth curtains that got heavy when they were wet.
Right.
And the curtain rods were metal and the shower curtain rings were metal. So there was very low friction between the curtain rod and the curtain ring, which you wouldn't think is a big deal. But in an environment where high angles are frequent and the shower curtain is soaked with water and heavy, and the low coefficient of friction between the curtain rings and the curtain rod, that could present a problem when two males are in the shower and the shower curtains are like directly opposite from each other. So you could, in theory, not that this has ever happened to me and embarrassed the hell out of me, in theory, you could be in a situation where the ship takes an angle and both curtains slide open at the exact same time while two dudes are showering. I'm not saying that ever happened, but if it did, I'd be very embarrassed and probably not want to talk about it except for right now.
My God, I was looking at pictures of a Russian SSB and they had shower curtains. I'm like, I don't get it. Like, how does that even work?
I just told you how it works.
Oh man, that's awesome. Oh fuck.
Oh my gosh, yeah, that was a good time.
Oh, man. Oh, man, this is a good show. We got to get out of here. We're pushing hell. Oh,
2 hours
hours,
almost.
yeah.
Yeah. My dog is getting a little antsy.
Yeah.
Dogs are barking.
Now he just wants attention.
Oh, I'm sure we got more sea stories, so we can come back on another episode and just keep recording more. Oh,
I got enough more. I got enough for another episode.
Oh,
Ooh,
definitely.
perfect.
Let's totally do it. Oh,
I'm running out of just generic background footage to show.
man,
I'll have
I'm
to
getting
repeat it.
sore laughing so much. Oh my God.
But let me tell one more. Go
Yeah,
All
for it.
absolutely.
right. These guys are cool, and they didn't do anything wrong here. Kevin C. and Josh Carl are in missile control, not during a fire drill, and they're wearing EABs. They're sucking rubber. I walked past missile control. What the hell? What the hell are you guys doing wearing EABs? And they're like, an EAB is like a breathing mask, like a positive pressure breathing mask that's tethered to an air manifold in the ceiling. And it's like an emergency, like a scuba mask kind of. And they're like, and they just look at me and they look over. They both glare at me and they look back and both face the launch console because they're at the launch console in missile control. And I'm like, what the hell are you guys doing wearing EABs? Like, what's going on? And they just look over me like guys, what are you doing? And I step in, like cross the threshold into missile control. And I'm like, what are you doing? Why are you wearing EABs? And they're obviously getting pissed off because they say nothing. You can kind of talk through an EAB, as you know, but it just kind of, it doesn't sound like you're talking through a firefighter mask. They're just breathing. And I'm like, guys, why are you wearing EABs? Why are you wearing EABs? And I come up to Josh Carl, who's a good dude. I consider him a friend. And I come behind him, and being a scrappy punk ass that I am, I start like drumming on his eyepiece, on his mask, like do 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 do. Why are you wearing EABs? All of a sudden he loses it and gets up and just grabs me, and is like trying to like fight me. And Kevin Seagup's like, no, it's not worth it. Like, no, back off. He doesn't know. And I'm like, what the hell is going on? Like, what the hell just happened? So everybody calms down. He's like, I'm sorry, And C goes, yeah, we didn't get our EABs on fast enough during the last fire drill, and the captain caught us. So the captain told us we need to stand like the rest of the watch in EABs.
Oh, fuck, that sucks.
Sorry, that sucks. Sorry, I messed with you.
Oh man, that's the worst. Yeah, we've had our captain, fuck with us, make us wear masks and stuff because we didn't put them on fast enough or didn't put the fire out fast enough or whatever. Well, here's what's gonna happen if you live in smoke. Oh fuck, awesome. Luckily we never had anybody like have to like sleep in them or anything. But
oh yeah, I don't think I ever had to do that. No, that would be horrible. I feel like I'd wake up like all the time.
No, and that was always the thing. You always hear the people online. You got to wear your mask for COVID-19 and all this stuff. Well, I was on a submarine. We had to wear masks all the time. We had to suck rubber all the time. Yeah, because of shit like that. Because you fucked up on a fire drill.
Like increase the pressure on the boat too, right?
Yeah. Well, see, the great thing about it too is as an A-ganger, I figured out how to open up the valve. So you could open up the little valve that's attached to your belt, and you could push the button and make it blow air on your face, so you're like nice and cool for the whole time. But all of a sudden, whenever you're walking around, all you hear is.
I didn't even know that was a thing.
Yeah, oh yeah, yeah. You could push the little diaphragm in on the button and blow cold, nice air on your face. Submarine hacks, good times.
Oh my gosh.
Anyways, well, it was a fucking awesome show, man. We got so much more to talk about still. I didn't even ask you about the Columbia class. Yeah. There's so much other stuff I still want to talk to you about, and we could talk about some more sea stories.
I need to tell the story about the day we almost died and we had flooding and had to emergency blow too.
Oh,
that's a longer sea story.
Yeah, we'll definitely do that again. We're gonna do that next time for sure.
Sea story episode 2.
Yeah, man, I'm loving these sea stories, man. This is good times. But anyways,
it was fun, man.
So you're a brewery?
Got the brewery, Scrappy Punk Brewing. Like I said, we're still open, and I haven't sold by the time you're listening to this. Snohomish, Washington, 9029A, 112th. If we have sold, then there's something else cool in that spot, and go check them out, or come check us out.
I hope you guys don't sell, because me and Greg are gonna make a pilgrimage up there, and we're gonna get drunk with you guys.
Yeah, we got to do that soon
for sure. But supposedly
check out those videos that these guys have up on YouTube, because there's a Scrappy Punk video right now. There's probably a lag for me, but those are some legit missile compartment shots, and there's some Scrappy Punk shots.
Oh yeah, definitely. But yeah, for sure.
I hope you guys do come up, get in touch with me, and we'll hang out and have a good time. Crash at my place.
Yeah, we're hoping to make it like a whole weekend. Go take a tour of an actual ballistic missile submarine. I'd love to take you too if we can.
I'd be down with that. Yeah. Give you the tour myself.
There you go. Yeah, you can walk us around, and with a full beard and everything, look like a fucking nobody, like a bum, giving us a tour of a fucking submarine. That's all I want.
Well, you guys can do that. I'll go skydive.
Yeah.
Right. There's an indoor skydiving place here. If you want to split the risk difference. Yeah.
Yeah.
Looks like it's cool. I've never been, but
yeah, we'll go hang out the
below our place.
go get some drinks at the Horse and Cow, and yeah, man, we'll have a good time.
Yeah.
We'll go hang out there for the weekend. But
Introduce you to some of my old buddies.
hell yeah. Well, thanks again for being on our show, man. I really appreciate it. We're gonna cut this up, and you're gonna see a whole shit ton of videos coming out here pretty quick. And
It was an honor, man. I'm down to down like a clown to come back on anytime.
Awesome.
I appreciate you guys' friendship and our professional working relationship as fellow submariners, Eric. So
oh man, always.
cool.
I'm trying to help out any submariner that I can. You know,
That's
anybody trying to do their deal. I'm all about the community, and I've definitely made nothing on all of this.
Right.
If anything, I've lost a lot of money and everything that I've done trying to help the community. But anything for
Makes
you
you more
guys.
genuine.
I'm
I
always
feel
for
the
you
same
guys.
way.
But anyways, thanks for being on, man. I really appreciate it. We'll hit you up again, and make sure you check out Skypunk Brewery. Check out check out his Twitter. Make sure you hit up me on King Neptune 767 on Twitter. Go check out Greg's YouTube channel, and I don't know, give me a bunch of money so I can quit my job. I don't know what else to say. That's all I want. I just want to quit my job. I don't want a real job anymore.
Start a GoFundMe for Eric.
Seriously,
Quit
I
his
don't want
job.
I don't want a job anymore. I want to make YouTube videos.
Jobs are overrated.
Yeah, I want to.
You know how you make $1 million in the brewing industry? You start with $2 million.
Oh.
Yeah, exactly. That's what I need.
Sounds
anybody,
like
anybody who's got $2 million to loan me, I can definitely turn it into 10 if you got
Should
it.
write that up as a business plan. You'll definitely get funding.
2 to
Oh,
10.
yeah.
That's the 2 to 10 plan. That's what I'm talking about. All right, buddy. Well, I appreciate you for being on. Don't hang
We
up.
got a next episode. We'll talk about the day we almost died.
Oh
Yeah, definitely. Don't hang up. We'll talk after the show and
Roger that.
and yeah, man. I guess that's it. Make sure you guys check out all of our stuff. Hit up our Patreon, everything else.
Yep. Do we have anyone lined up for next week?
Not yet.
Not yet.
Not
Okay.
yet.
We'll try to find somebody.
Yeah. We're definitely gonna.
Keep doing these every weekend.
Yeah, we're trying. We're still getting the studio together.
And we had a little bit of delay. We almost went like a month without doing a podcast, but I was moving and
Yeah, there's
bunch
just
of
a
stuff,
lot of
so.
stuff going on, COVID and everything else, and we're gonna have to get some cameras and stuff. So yeah, we're getting there. We're totally
Get some
pulling this
cameras.
yeah.
Yeah, some more cameras are gonna go live. You're gonna see our stupid faces eventually.
Yeah, he's gonna pull out a Sharpie and write,
yeah.
do the nutsack thing.
But anyways,
Pretend your face is a missile guidance system.
that's right. Make some targets out of us.
Oh, yeah. We'll see.
There you go. Anyways, all right. Well, you guys enjoy it. Make sure you check
Thanks for
everything out.
listening,